We are recording, boys, and we're recording straight onto my new solid state drive, so it should be utterly seamless.
Oh, nice. Do we want to start, or do we want to wait for? Oh, actually, we need Gaz online.
Let's get
yeah, I'm in the forge, right? And the only one I've got is Traveller One Shots, and it's saying that's not the one we're playing.
Shall I just send you a Shall I send you a link then? Invitation links. Shall I put it in the chat?
Put it in Zoom. Put it in Zoom.
It should be. Right, try that, Gaz.
I'll be with you shortly.
Ooh, I wonder if it's remembered my dice settings, and/or I wonder what my dice settings are. Oh, my. I might need to play my 3D dice. I remember them being better than that.
Fine, mate. Oh yeah.
Oh, yours are awesome.
I usually try and make mine fit the character.
Yes.
Oh, it's needing me to sign in and all sorts of nonsense.
It shouldn't ask for a password. It should There's no password.
No,
just
log into Roll20.
You have to log into Foundry, into Forge, but after that, the game won't require you to do anything.
That's what I'm doing, lads. I've already done it.
Okay, that's good. I'm just going to go with my usuals, I think. I love these dice so much. And they are my standard Savage Worlds dice.
Right, so it's still showing Traveller One Shots on the launch page.
There should be more than one game on there, because you should also have, like, my Rifts game and everything else.
Nope, I've got Mothership, Savage Worlds, and Traveller.
Oh yeah, Savage Worlds is mine. Yeah, and it's definitely not that Traveller one. It's only the one-shots.
I shall click on the launch button.
Yeah, launch that one and let's see what happens.
What does it say along the top left banner, Gaz?
We don't like using English networks. No, it says a different game is currently in session. Please come back later.
Oh yeah.
So
you see, not me.
Hang on, if you go.
Well, I mean,
we're back to what we had, Phil, weren't we? When it was just me and you waiting for Mike and Rob
I know.
to turn
We were
up.
really proud of our technological advantage, weren't we?
Yeah.
Right.
And
if, you
I
go,
am up for my hamster and string.
if you open the Forge.
Yeah.
On the top left, where it says My Foundry.
Right.
You see that?
Yeah. So I'm just going back into them. Now it's saying 503 unavailable. What nonsense is that, though?
Session 1 can never be seamless for a series, or else it's bad luck.
Oh, it's always the bloody same. Right, so again, it's showing Traveller One Shots.
If you look on the top left, where it says it's got the little Forge icon.
Yes.
And then there's a little drop-down menu. It says My Games.
Yes.
Is it in there?
And I go to My Games, and it shows me Mothership, Savage Worlds, and Traveller.
It's not.
You haven't, like, accidentally deleted Gaz's user.
Deleted Gaz.
Yeah. He's now a figment of our imagination. Is he a replicant?
It's a good job I sent you Zim tonight, isn't it?
Excuse, retard. Bill.
Right, I tell you what, let me.
Hang on.
I think Mike's deleted you. Mike's deleted you from the user list. Did you mean to delete Radar and you accidentally got rid of Zim?
I've deleted Zim by accident.
Yeah, you're gonna have
to...
How do I add him back in?
You just click add additional user at the bottom, Mike.
On My Games?
Yeah, go into on the inside the game, click on the options and click on configure user settings.
So it wasn't you guys.
And then under that list of users, there should be a button that just says add additional user.
It's never been done. Never been done.
I know this because I've been creating your next campaign today.
Right, so user management.
Yeah, and then there should be a button at the bottom that just says add additional user.
No, Gaz is there.
Ah.
Bit bizarre. Right, okay.
Yeah, I would log out of Forge and back in again, or...
Yeah, that's what I've done. I'm just about to try it again. With that fresh link. Just talk amongst yourselves quietly, gentlemen.
Go to the fuse box and just flick everything off in the house.
Kick the hamster.
Sit in the dark and then shout into your phone really loud. Dr. Zim says.
It's never seamless, is it? We look at Zim PCs.
Please don't.
Oh, I love not being the GM.
Configure ownership.
I'm going to sit here and say stupid stuff with my dad's voice.
Gaz is there as a user. And
Right,
owner.
got it.
It was you guys.
Yeah.
Was it? I didn't do anything.
It's nothing.
That's the point, Buck, and you fucking didn't.
Yeah.
Right, there we go.
Right.
Sorted, lads.
Hey.
Okay, we're all in.
Yeah. It just refreshed it when I clicked on the link again, so whether it was
There
a...
it is.
There
We've
you
got
are, yeah.
Billum, Zim and Dax in an RPG again. It's starting to feel like good old times.
I feel a bit anxious.
And also Kelly's here.
I feel a bit anxious.
Also, can we all just raise a glass to the fact that Ratar is not here? Love you, Andy.
Love you, Andy.
But my God.
He's sitting in an ISO cube.
Yeah, well, no, he's on a swamp planet.
Thank God.
Doing penal
Oh, God.
juices.
Yeah, he's
Papillon.
doing. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's exactly Papillon. Yes. Oh no, it's also it's the Mean Machine, because Burt Reynolds in the Mean Machine is doing hard labour, make work in the swamp.
Film.
Yeah, he is.
It's a good
Yeah.
film, that.
Yeah.
Actually. That's,
Now,
that's worth... yeah, I might put on the review list. I haven't seen it for ages.
I do
I can
not
do-
equate Ratar with Burt Reynolds. I'm going to put it out there.
Definitely not. I could. No, I've just lost Mickey.
I am still here. I'm just switching computers. I'm moving to a different location so that I can be sat
Space
down
and time.
in space and time. No, it's just
So it's our main mission.
raining here.
Our main mission this season is to rescue Ratar then for the swamp town.
No.
No.
Captain
Radar
says-
from the swamp donkeys.
Captain says no.
that's
Captain says
Yeah.
we steal the treasure ship. We can buy a load of Ratars if we steal the treasure ship. We don't need the
Are
old
we still
one.
doing this treasure ship MacGuffin?
Yeah.
It's not a MacGuffin. It's the ultimate dream.
Yeah.
After we did the last ultimate dream of the pirate base. Now I'm
Yeah.
over that now.
You're over that now. Next big score.
Next
big
horizon.
score. Yes. Now, what I'm going to say is, you're all going to have to work together for this.
We were
we shall try
trying
his
last
best.
time. We were trying last time. It was just that certain people weren't making it easy, and then because of the way that things were working, not everybody was here all the time. So it became
It was hard.
a bit
It was
tricky.
hard. It was hard. And then the three of you who were basically sort of managing to make it, one of them went off on an ill-advised side quest, and then there was two.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is just not you're bound to fail with this.
I like that you made an example of the one who went on the side quest and was like, guys, you robbed this treasure ship or I'm going to put you all on a penal planet.
That's the punishment. Right, you're in, Mickey.
I am back in again.
Right, okay. So I'm going to share you an image.
We are still recording. All is
Right,
good.
okay.
Let's roll.
Okay, right, good to go. So what I'd like to do today is start with a word from our sponsors. Okay, so today's episode is brought to you by Makhid Karoon Corporation.
Let's
Makhid
Dooley
Karoon
Keynes.
Corporation, yeah. It is.
What do you like?
It's one of the 13 imperial megacorporations. It's with an illustrious history dating back 7,000 years to the noble houses of the Valani First Imperium. All
It
while
says
the,
that on the bottom in Valani.
yeah, all while the pyramids of Terror were being built. Now, Makhid Karoon is a name that just exudes quality. Makhid Karoon specializes in communications, food, and the entertainment sectors, but it's also involved in the design and production of state-of-the-art computers and robots.
Like Sony then, innit?
Now, a little bit. Got a question for you. Do you love robots? Because here at Makhid Karoon, we love robots. And we're always looking for new and exciting ways to automate the difficulties out of your business. Now, question. Maybe you're the director of an SME company looking to make savings. Or maybe you're part of a startup cooperative who are finding the challenges of managing cash flow that distract you from your mission statement and your true passions. Are you finding the cost and unreliability of employing meat space members prohibitively high, or that it comes with added baggage? Are you looking for
Always the way.
Are you looking for an employee who won't call in sick, take weekends off or slack off on some random ill-advised personal side quests? Well,
yes, we fucking are.
Well, at Mac Hid Karoon Robotics, we've got your back. With the new...
Cyberback.
It's the new Fine on Spot 3000.
Oh, it's like a better radar.
It's not your average robot. It's not your ordinary robot. The Fine on Spot 3000 is packed with state-of-the-art advanced processing brain and boasts third-generation financial, legal, and accountancy software from one of the most innovative megacorps in chartered space.
Oh, can we have one, please, lads?
The Fine on Spot 3000 will settle all your financial and business troubles, all within the legal parameters of your current state system.
Call it Poppy.
Now, the Finance Spot 3000, you'll sleep soundly, because it doesn't have to. Just 710,000 credits at a dealer near you. Finance options available, broker rolls not guaranteed, roll over 2 on 2d6 to gain full control of the world economy. Full control of the world economy is not guaranteed. Matt Kid Karoon does not guarantee full control. Improper use may result in arrest, conditions apply.
Well done, that was brilliant.
That was utterly genius.
How much again for the snazzy robot in the pinstripe?
710,000.
710,000.
Oh, it's a mere snippet.
If we turned in radar, we could have bought 2 of these.
That is in your, if you look in your library data, you will see there's a tab there under Anomalies and Wonders, Companies and Corporations. Go down to the bottom, Mac Hid Karoon.
Beautiful.
The Fine on Spot 3000 for all your brokerage needs.
Amazing.
I couldn't resist trolling Andy. I thought what we would do after our little bit of library data there is just I want to try and do a really quick season 5 recap of where we're up to.
That'd be really good.
Yeah, just a bit of a kind of season cap recap. And then just a little bit of like gamey data. I just want to briefly mention, but it could be as long or as short as you want, because it could be question answer, and the whole thing could be question answer, obviously. And then just do, depending on how we do for time, just do a little scene to just slide ourselves back. Slide ourselves back into our skins.
Come ourselves back into it.
Yes, yeah, and then we'll see where we're at. We might set the scene for the next session, or we might stop there. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, see how it goes time-wise.
Yeah. So
we finished about 3 a.m.
Because
I was getting a load of
back.
Yeah, I was getting a load of reverb then, but it seems okay now. Now, if you look in your system data, what I realised was there were like 70 odd 80 files.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took a leaf out of Rob's book and I broke it down into locations, NPCs, handouts.
That's a lot of work, mate.
Thanks,
yes,
mate.
it is.
So yes, it is.
Sorry, Rob.
No,
it is.
But yes, well done, mate. That's a really good idea, and I prefer the way you've done it, which is actually they're all in one entry under that subheading. I like that structure.
Yes. So you've got, I want to say, in the system on the tab on the journal tab.
Yeah.
System data.
Oh yeah.
You've got Aronosia, which is where we are, and then you've got handouts, library data, locations, maps, NPCs, and Martin the second NPCs, because that's the ship. So I'll flash images up, but feel free to scroll and whatever. There's kind of a lot there, but I want to try and be as quick and concise as I can. Don't want you to get too bored, but and we need to make sure that we're up to date with everything that's happened. Questions?
The questions will come. When was the last time? When did we play season 5? Was it like 6 months ago?
11 months ago.
Yeah, it was
Good
like
God,
nearly-
that long?
it was a year ago.
Amazing how fast it goes.
Yeah, 11 months ago.
I've shaved beard off twice and regrown it in Atlantis.
We played it immediately after we did Pathfinder, wasn't it? After we did Kingmaker,
yeah.
Which was
Yeah,
like
quite a
Kingmaker
while.
was over the summer previous year.
Yeah, it's quite a while.
All right.
So there were 8 episodes in the last season, and I want to think of this as a continuation of the season rather than a true new season. We had episode 1 was like a recap. We just did a recap of the previous season on Cordan. We don't need to touch that. Episode 2 was Enter Viscount Calistinius and the Accountants in Space.
Oh, that was the first half was brilliant. The second half was the worst thing. I did rewatch that one.
I didn't mind rewatching it. It wasn't as bad as I remember, but at the time I remember getting extremely frustrated. But basically, the session opened at Dark Knight Base. We saw the system map for Arana-Sir. We heard about this, how Arana-Sir was under Aslan control, but the human population ran most of the show. Mm-hmm. We did a quick review of the Letter of Marque and the primary mission, with the sort of remit to, of what to do from King Oleb.
Yeah, because I think the pirates had kind of forgotten what they were supposed to be doing.
No.
That's why you're here. Some of them had. Some of them didn't even care.
Yeah, some of us didn't give a shit.
Yeah. There were efforts to get Raytar on board with the mission, because he wanted the crew to follow his ideas and abandon the primary mission.
Yeah.
And then we had the arrival of Kel in system and the arrangement to meet at the high port. Dax flew the Coup into the port, and he fucked it. And then, in the port, Kel swanned in his star yacht with his 3 Drunaxian horsemen.
Horsemen?
Hawkmen. Well, that's the kind of thing Drunaxians would do. They would come onto the spaceport with the horses. You met at Space Weatherspoons. Kel was looking all bling, and Kel had seen this poster of Raytar and said he wasn't very impressed with it, and it was attracting too much attention. And also, you'd murdered people in busting out of Cordon Highport, and that was you weren't doing a very good job of kind of being a bit careful. And also, Oleb said he didn't want murderers, so he was not overly impressed by what he saw at the beginning.
We were self-defense. We weren't space hobos. It was fine.
You saw the Hawkmen totally blank the crew, and you heard a rumor that they say that Black Sand on Teve is actually secretly controlled by hivers.
Yeah.
You all retired to a private booth in this posh bar, and Kel had this face disguise to disguise Raytar's face, who'd committed grand larceny and was wanted for multiple crimes in the very next system, and then was swanning around on 1 week away, no disguise, trading again, as if it didn't really matter. Because in a computer game, it doesn't matter.
He was a vile deviant as well.
Yeah, everyone got really pissed, and then you decided you should probably watch out for bounty hunters, because the bounty hunter source book was coming out a couple of weeks later.
Yes, that's true.
There was also a question of what to do next. There was extensive discussions. This is where things went a bit grindy and a bit gamey, with Raytar basically wanting to go back to Cordon to sell some of the loot from the base, despite the fact that he was a wanted criminal there. Essential to also lease out the base to other pirates.
Yeah, we shut that one down.
He wanted to sell the base. He wanted to sell the goddess Astoria. He said, let's become fuel station attendants and set up a fuel refinery to sell fuel. Let's sell all the vehicles. Let's sell the Harrier, because it's worth 300 million.
Yeah,
it's worth quite a bit. Let's sell all vehicles. Maybe gift the goddess Astoria to Oleb was a more sensible.
Yeah,
view.
that was.
I was all over that. That was a pretty good idea.
Yeah, that was a brilliant idea.
And then maybe we should hire some engineers, and whether to hire some engineers, leave them in the base. And then also what to do with the nobles who you've got in your cryopods.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does Calistinius know about the nobles?
Yeah.
He does? Okay.
Yeah. Right.
You muted that, Sim.
Yeah. I prefer it that way, to be honest.
So it'll take him a month to work out how to unmute.
Can't be done.
Right, episode 3 was Recruitment Day. And some Ogman rec boarding. There was an agreement to conduct financial management aspects of the game. We gamed it between WhatsApp polls, because we spent about 20 to 30 minutes of the previous session discussing finances, and it was a bit of a fucker.
And we just kept saying, not everyone's online, we can't choose this now, let's move on. And we kept coming back to it.
You seized up, Rob. Oh yeah, well, that's fine.
That's probably for the best.
You've caught up.
You've caught up a little bit. We tracked down Jory Ip, the space monkey, who was picking someone's pocket. You tracked him down, yeah? You interviewed him regarding the engineer's post, and he asked Kel if he's actually a disco dancer. Dax asked Raytar. Dax said that Raytar is thick as 2 short planks. Kel picked Jory Ip's pocket, and we found out that Jory Ip has got 4 arms with these gecko pads and has a New York Jewish accent and bada bing, bada space.
Of course.
He's a member of a species that were almost exterminated and enslaved by the Varga, and there's a bit of bad blood between them, something that came to light later. We heard about Kel's personal auto butler and his ever-changing wardrobe. We interviewed 3 prospective mechanics. Shame Garcia, aka the Monk. He was ex-army. If you want any images, tell me, but I'm not going to keep flashing images because we don't.
I remember these bullets.
Yeah. We met Shame Garcia, the Monk. He was ex-army, discharged dishonorably. Probably broke his commanding officer's jaw. Quite surly. Does not respond well to authority. He had a big war hammer, like a gravity hammer, that we named the Geo Kneecapper.
He'll get on well with Silic.
Yeah. Definitely. We've got Stella Blackwater and a synthetic Polly the Parrot. If you remember in Blade Runner, where they're like, "Is that your owl? No, is that a real snake?" And she's like, "I think I'd work in if it's a real snake." It's a synthetic parrot. It's like a replicant type thing.
Yeah, cool.
Dax
still wants that.
Dax said,
pirate
cunt, so it called cunt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she had some. She's a mechanic. She had some bruises around her jaw, and she just wanted to get away from the high port. I've named the high port Port Victoria.
Okay.
It feels like these places should have names rather than just the high, because like they're almost like cities, the towns that would have a name. I think it brings a bit of life to the place. So Port Victoria. We also met Jedediah Rusthart, who was a bit of a space nomad, ADHD, whirlwind of energy, unwashed, pretty skinny guy with dreadlocks. You didn't take him on because he seemed a bit kind of flaky. So you took on Juritip, Stella, and the Chain, aka the Monk.
Yeah.
And then you all went back to Dark Knight base to start refurbishing it. There was a discussion on the droids, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. There was loads of copper piping and equipment, so you took that back to Organisair, sold that, and there was a discussion about what position Kel might do on the ship. He's got skills in electronics, so decided doubling up with Zim and doing...
that's right, I remember that.
Doing a combination of like electronic warfare, comms, all that kind of electronic stuff, but there's also potential he could peel off and do other things. He's got some diverse
Kel
skills.
knows he's also the captain. He knows that as well.
He thinks he knows that.
Yeah.
Then there was a discussion about what to do with the Ogman wreck that was floating above the base. There was no real urgency, but he decided you wanted to go and see what was on board. You broke into the ship. There was a trapped airlock door. Zim got blown into space and soon started leaking, spinning him round.
Yes.
You managed to get him back. There was loads of jagged metal. The floating burnt bodies of the Ogman raiders. This was about a month after the battle, so there was no one alive in there. And then you met these schoolbots, and the lights went on, and there was a bit of a battle, wasn't there? Episode 4. Cargo of bones. So Chaim, Garcia, and Raytar came into the wreck with you, and it would have been Raytar's first kind of bit of real piracy, because so far he tried to avoid anything dangerous to keep alive, but he basically also tried to avoid any kind of adventure. And I told him, if you keep avoiding everything, you are not going to get any XP. You're not going to get XP for just doing what you're normally doing in a safe environment. And he was a bit like, right, okay. Which wasn't, I think he didn't really didn't want to go because he wanted to stay alive. And
we were all pretty insistent as well.
Yes,
he needed to prove himself.
Needs to prove himself. You fought the schoolbots. Raytar tried to use a net unsuccessfully, very clumsily. Then you found some cargo containers and bones.
And that in zero gravity. It's like,
a net in zero gravity, really slumbering.
A spidery, weird creature thing.
Yeah. You found these cryopods with dead people forced into them. They'd been forced into them while alive, but they died in these cryopods after the ship was destroyed by you guys. So there was about 75 dead people in there, and you were not sure whether they were going to be food or what they were going to be. But the Ogmans were basically kidnapping people.
Yeah.
You looted some cargo. There was some ordinary cargo, plus there was some illegal cybernetics owned by Peter Velis of Teve.
Yeah.
And then there was also a big alien centipede in the basement, in the bottom cargo bays, that someone tried to fight, and then someone tried to befriend, and then Dax sort of said, I think Billem tried to befriend it, went forward, and then Dax went forward and just wasted it. It was a bit underpowered, to be honest, so I kind of fucked that up a little bit.
All Dax was overpowered, but everyone was. We spent a while being like, "Oh, we could train it, we could have it off for us." It's like, fuck this, bump.
I just throw that in for a laugh because the previous campaign, Petito had been killed by a centipede in Pathfinder, and I thought the irony of having Raytar killed by an alien space centipede in Traveller would be hilarious.
It would have been beautiful. I should have let it happen.
I threw that in at the last minute, and I was disappointed it didn't kill him. Episode 5 was the gas giant gamble. We did a bit of narrative storytelling when we picked up Stella's gear from her flat with the story going round and round.
I loved that. We all handed off to each other.
It was really, really good fun, that. And basically her boyfriend, Siman Luca, was there, and he was a bit of a kind of a weasel kind of looking dirty guy, works in the docks with her. He was there, and he said he had info on her. He threatened her, grabbed her bag, and he ran off. And it basically had Raytar's... Is it Raytar's picture or Dax's picture? I think it was Raytar's picture.
I don't know. Did we find out? It was a data pad and we crushed it.
There was a picture in there. There was a poster. I think it was a wanted poster of Raytar. Because Andy kept trying to set Dax up and he chops his head off.
Yeah.
And, it was a bit of like trying to set Dax up.
Don't play my character. I'm not a murderer.
Yeah, for being a criminal. So this guy ran off and then that sort of ended that situation. But this guy is still out there and basically does not like you guys.
Was he after his ex-girlfriend, partner?
Yeah.
Is he after her or is he after us?
He's after her.
But
he knows that she's with us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he knows that we're connected to Raytar.
Yeah, and he knows that Raytar's a wanted man.
Not anymore. He's a court man.
He might not know.
Yeah, but he's not been caught for the crimes in Cordan, but it's only a matter of time, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
We did some gas giant refueling back at the base. We did the gas giant gamble where Dax and Zim went out onto the ship because you were in the gas giant at a certain level where there was a bit of oxygen, the pressure wasn't too bad, and you could probably survive if you took a couple of breaths. There was a lot of probablys here.
We probably did. It was fine.
Yeah, the previous captain of the ship had done it a few times, or done it at least once, and then there was a bit of everyone looked at Dax and was like, well, if he did it, you're going to do it. So there was a little bit of pressure, but then never wanted to turn down a crazy idea. Dax did it. While he was on the outside the ship, he lost control and then didn't have his helmet off yet, didn't have his face visor off, but then went flying. The wind took him, and then he was battered around, tied to a line, battered around on the outside of the ship.
Nose.
And Kel was in his room, heard this kind of noise, opened his blind in the ceiling, and just could see Dax kind of flapping around on the outside of the window. It was really, really funny when I watched it again. Finally got back to his feet again with a broken nose, opened his faceplate, took a breath, and then Zim said, "Oh, there's something happening underneath the ship." And you were like, "Let's get back in, let's get back in, let's get back in." And you were like, "What is it?" And I think Bill, you weren't here for this one, Mickey, Bill was like, "Well, it's underneath the ship, but there's so much interference from the sensors, I can't see what it is. I could just flip the ship if you want." Yep. And you guys were like, I don't know. Okay. So you flip the ship, and there was this great big alien organism. The Alohi, which is like a transparent kind of energy kind of organism of some description. And it started kind of pulsing an electrical field, and there was a bit of kind of communication, and you realized you could use the Harrier's holographic hull to pulse a message back, and there was a communication in a kind of Close Encounters of the Third kind of thing, and it went on for a few minutes. Don't really know what you were saying, but then from that, Zim has gone and started doing some research and doing a paper and trying to translate the language and all this kind of stuff. So very busy, yeah.
Zim and I may be the only people in the galaxy who've ever seen one of these creatures with the naked eye. Because we were both helmetless in the void going...
Yeah. And you
Mark
both
one
got
eyeball.
Mark one eyeball. Now, you both got a boon for that, and you've not used it yet.
Brill.
So don't forget, you've got a boon. From there, you travel to Port Amalgo. You saw some hollow show. We heard about the hollow shows, Aranis's Deadliest Rivers and Woman versus Woods, the two big hollow shows, and we heard how reality TV is a really popular thing. It's a major export from Aranesia. You heard about the People's League, who are human nationalists movement of the planet.
They're a bit Soleimani, aren't they? They want all the aliens off.
They want all the aliens off.
I think they're meant to be Bellani, but
yeah,
they could have Soleimani sort of.
They're a bit Trumpy.
They're a bit Trumpy, and there's a bit of a poster saying "Make Aranesia Great Again." and there was they definitely want the Aslan. They definitely want to get rid of the Aslan.
Well, I can understand why, but
yeah.
Because the Aslan are like a ruling caste at Mountain Sea, right? They hold a lot of the positions of power and authority.
They conquered the system.
Conquered it 200 years ago. Just these I hate eyes. They're not a clan.
Yeah.
These are the second sons.
Yeah,
the second sons.
The warlike second sons. Who
they're not.
I've got
they're
a lot
not
of
tied
respect
to the
for.
clan. They're pretty cool. We also you'd also heard about a Lord Affley Yorilad, who was associated with the People's League, who you'd met on the High Port, Port Victoria, and said, "Come and look me up if you're ever in town." And also Ekaft, the Aslan.
Yes.
You'd heard about him. Now, both of these claim to be Lord of Port Amalgo. We had Raytar wearing this face disguise, which made life a bit easier for him. And we heard about Kel's broadcasts home, one slightly secret, one a bit more secret, calling you all different kind of names, but basically, generally, not names. Generally,
it was vaguely respectful. I really liked it.
Generally affectionate. We saw some anti-Aslan graffiti, aliens out, alien scum, and we saw a wanted poster for Raytar, calling him a vile deviant, wanted for grand larceny and all kinds of stuff like that. 1.5 million credits. Then we went to visit. Is this space okay, or is it too fast?
No, it's cool, mate.
For me, it's beautiful. I'm already really looking forward to the next episode title, which I'm
just listening to the audio.
Yeah. The images are all there. If you ever want to flick through them, you're not doing anything, feel free to flick, and always feel free to
clicking
ask.
through them as we go for the video.
Who were the two? Was it like a human leader and a Aslan leader of Aranasir?
So
Can you go through those names again?
Lord Affley Yorilad.
He's the parrot.
He's the.
I see him.
Yeah.
I've got him now. Yeah.
Yeah, he claims. I've called it Port Talbot there. It should be Port Amalgo. I don't know where I got Talbot from, but
he's Welsh.
Yeah, that's him there. That's.
I thought he was the Aslan dude.
No, that's Lord Ekaft.
Ah, right.
You've got
He's
Lord.
that parrot.
You've got, and I've done it again. You've done it again, Port Talbot. I don't know why I've done that. Yeah.
You really
That's
have
Ekaft. Yeah, that's Ekaft.
Thanks.
It's Port Amalgo.
Yes.
It's Port Amalgo.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that Ekaft is Lord of Port Amalgo,
Mm-hmm.
but this guy, the human guy, he claims to be Lord of Port Amalgo. You've not really spoke to him. You met him briefly at a casino table. That's as much as you know about him.
Okay.
He said, "Come and talk to me." You know he's associated with the Human League, but not much else. He had a bit of a chat with Raytar, where he asked Raytar, "What's your opinion on the Aslan problem?" And Raytar was actually quite diplomatic and wouldn't be drawn into it, basically because he doesn't want me to use it against him. So he's very canny when it comes like that. We visited Ekaft at his house. I know. We went to visit Ekaft at his house. Zim,
We did.
Kel, and Raytar and Billum. And Zim had gone off and doing his research on the Aloi, and we saw these little monkey-like sti, these little monkey creatures that the Aslan think look like humans. We also saw the Martin II on its landing pad.
Is this the treasure ship?
This is the treasure ship, yeah. Yeah, we heard how it had been separated from its flotilla after an accident, and the rest of the flotilla had moved on, and the Martin II had crash landed a bit on Aranasir, and was waiting for an Imperial repair crew. And its escort, the Kimono, arrived. Now, I know I've flipped around and changed images here and there, but I wanted to just show you this image of the Kimono. Okay, so the Kimono, I've changed the images because I've finally been able to with the original Traveller artwork for ships was really glorious, but it's black and white and it looks very dated. And then Mongoose got it, and then it's been updated, but the Mongoose first edition artwork was fucking awful.
Yeah.
And the second is a bit better. But what I've been able to do is use Midjourney to retexture the original
That's
art.
really clever, that, mate.
Yeah, so here is the Kimono.
Oh, God.
This is a Gazelle Close Escort. It's twice the size of the Harrier. Jump 5, thrust 5. It's not quite as fast, but it can jump pretty far.
She's a packet.
Yeah, Captain Kugisheg Lim is the captain of this ship.
Whoa.
So does the size How big is it compared to? You said it was twice as big, right?
It's 400 tons. Yours is 200.
Okay.
It's all on the girth, lads. It's all.
And because it's not like a cargo, I mean, that's an escort ship. It's going to be packed with.
Yeah, it's a
guns
military
and-
ship.
It's not
And
a.
marines.
My apologies.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
But
packed-
when we
packed with
pirate
guns and
it-
weapons.
That will be a great one to add to our fleet.
It'd be a great one to add to your fleet.
Really nice, though.
This ship, the Kimono, and I should have called it the Demon Kimono, to be honest.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, I know. Was
For reference.
was up in orbit and was basically kind of just in orbit.
It's waiting, isn't it, as the escort ship for the Martin II. The rest of
waiting.
Was
the
it in
flotilla has
geostationary orbit above the crash Martin II, or was it?
It's up in geostationary orbit.
Just,
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
directly
It-
above the whole.
It moves around a little bit, but it stays pretty close.
Okay.
Staying pretty close. And while you were on the tarmac, this black scout ship was to the
Yes.
high port.
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember that as well.
Almost a sonic boom. It came in very, very steep, did a sort of like aero brake, and then boomed off again. One of the things that we retconned a little bit because I'd forgotten to ask everyone. I didn't forget. I asked Zim to make the roll, and really it should have been like anyone can make the roll. So I kind of fucked up a little bit. So the next session I asked Kel if he wanted to make the roll because Kel detected a tight beam comm from the Martin II to the Scout.
Yeah.
Now that Scout ship, Bill had seen it before, but he couldn't quite remember where he'd seen it, which was almost as bad as not recognising
Not remembering it at all.
Yeah, it
The
was
same
worse.
vessel or model?
that ship.
That
Right,
ship.
okay, so that actual ship.
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah. And,
Mysterious black Scout ship.
and that led
And,
to a whole range of theories about what's going on aboard the Martin II and whether the crash landing was sabotage.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Is that ship interplanetary, or is it that? Do we know that's a scout ship that sits onto a bigger ship, or do we know that has jump capabilities?
It's got jump capabilities.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so then episode 6, we're nearly there, just 3 episodes to go. Bill tries to punch a pussy.
Thank you.
We visited Ekaft and his wife Ekayao in their estate on the edge of the mountains.
that Andy was female.
Yeah. Well, that's because I asked Andrew whether he wanted to carry any weapons, and the
Yeah.
women generally don't carry weapons. The men always do. So you would assume, given that Aslan's strict gender roles, that that Ekaft was a woman. They all look alike to them. So. There were loads of huge insects. It was a beautiful house, and we learned about these Aslan gender roles. Ekaf said, first, tell me about yourselves. He wanted to know who you are, and then he said, what is good in life? Raytar got mistaken for a woman due to not having any weapons. You heard about the peace of Fatahala, which is the peace between the Imperium and the Aslan clans, but it doesn't include the Hittite.
No.
And Ekaft gave you his 2 side quests.
Yes.
These are on your quest log in the journal tab at the very bottom of the page.
Yeah.
At the very, very, very bottom of the page, bottom right, there's a
Yeah,
little tab.
There's a button, isn't there?
There's a button there called quest log. The first one was to try and drive trade away from Port Victoria and to Port Amalgo. And the second was to guide, and this one was a bit more interesting, was to guide Hittite forces to Aranasea to reconquer the planet because Ekaf was concerned about the weakening grasp of the Aslan, and obviously that has implications.
And Raytar loved the idea of the first one, which is where he got into trouble, but the
Raytar-
second one is the one that really grabbed Dax because he wants to get more involved with the Hittite.
Yes, and Raytar loved the idea of the first one so much, he said, I'm not really interested in the treasure ship. And
Yeah.
then I started to get all stressed because I thought, I'm going to have to run 2 separate adventures here.
Well, you did.
So I did. So we peeled Raytar off, and more about that later. Actually, Raytar's events haven't happened yet. They're in
No.
the future. They're in the future. So he wanted to guide these forces to reconquer the planet. Dax spoke about the rise of Drinax and maybe allying with Aranasea, and there was a discussion on how to disrupt trade. What Abilam said, what are the strength of the Aslan forces on the planet, and he was a bit vague about that. And then we all drank some Mirage liqueur and got good and pissed.
Yeah, with the hallucinogenic.
The hallucinogenic Mars liqueur, yeah. Then there were some rumours, and I've put all the rumours in the chat. Are they all there? Can you see them all?
Oh, let me have a look. Oh, yes, I can. Yeah.
If you scroll up,
Yeah,
Yep.
explosion forced Martin second to land, engineer section is damaged, etc., etc.
Yeah. There's a repair crew coming. Rescue flotilla arrives in 8 weeks. Engineering section was damaged. The vault can only be opened in the right place.
Yeah.
Confirmed by stellar data and jump positions.
That's the one that excited me.
Yeah. The explosion was probably sabotage. You've got the deck plans, you've got the crew manifest, and also, well, this other bit came later, but yeah, you've got the deck plans. The vault is about 144 tons. You are not taking it out of the ship. It is built into the ship.
It's not like a little
ship
safe
is the
in
vault.
a hotel room.
Yeah.
It's massive. Yeah, it's absolutely massive. You heard about the engineering was damaged, blah, 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 blah. Keller said, can we, given that case, can we confuse the vault as to where it is so that we can open it?
Yeah, I thought if we could tell the jump computer, confuse where it thought it was, it would tell the vault, yep, you're in the right place at the right time, then or be able to be open.
Yep. We had a positive response from Eckaft. He was a bit evasive. He didn't get out and out say about stealing the treasure ship. He said, if things like that were to happen, you would find friends here, which basically means you'll get a good deal for any stolen cargo.
Yeah, and he said basically we could hide stuff.
Yeah.
He'd have places to hide stuff.
Yeah, it could be the
if we
fence,
needed
couldn't
it.
they?
Yeah, it'd be their friends. Aslan liked conflict and the idea of kind of doing something, but he obviously doesn't want to get pummeled for it.
No, but we had a really good conversation about because Dax stays true to his mission about how our goals align in terms of causing destabilization for the glory of Drinax.
Yep.
If we achieve what he wants, the natural byproduct is there's destabilization in the area that Oleb can solve.
Yeah, you can be potentially bring him into your sort of new kingdom, reborn kingdom.
Your sphere of influence, and then
Yes, yeah. There were some side effects from drinking this Mirage liqueur. Dax became a bit ill. Kel got some. Dax got ill and basically
Got
was
like
a bit
malaria or
nauseous.
something for a few days.
Several days being sick until I stopped to find it humorous. Kel got these tremors again until the GM thought it wouldn't be any fun anymore. Raytar had an existential crisis and shaved his head.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
Bill became really violent and tried to fight an Aslan in an ill-advised boxing match and was pretty much beaten down, but the guy just flicked him on the forehead as a finishing move.
And did everyone say, "Hey, good on him for being at least having a
they
fight"?
hugged afterwards, and
They hugged after
It was
and they,
good fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was lucky because he could have could have been the end of Billum right there.
I mean,
It
it
was
was
a lot
like
of fun.
whenever anyone fights an Aslan in single combat, except this time the human got murdered, not the Aslan.
All right.
Be better, Billum. To be fair, Dr. Zim hadn't dosed you up on a shit ton of speed before you did the fight like he did with me.
That's true.
That was the problem.
Due to the problem.
I was
There was
drugged
no
up to the
speed.
bollocks.
You were drugged up, yeah. The Aslan, however, the next day was really impressed with Billum and actually found the idea of what you were doing quite exciting and said, if you're looking for any extra crew, I'd be happy to join you. So he's there as a potential. He could always join you.
Yeah, we want him.
Raytar was really interested in this side quest of disrupting trade and pushed to be appointed to a senior role at Port Victoria
Oh, this led to his downfall.
so that he can take over its economy and steal all the planet's income.
And then was really disappointed when he couldn't just roleplay doing it and assume it would work.
He said it's a great idea, I should be able to do it. And I was like, well, I'm not just going to say you can do it. It's going to be a whole adventure. It's a whole campaign in itself to do
I think
that.
you should have been blunt with him and gone, look, mate, this isn't a fucking Amiga. This is a role-playing game. You're going to fucking role-play whether you like it or not.
Thing is, he roleplayed a little bit, but it was the idea that this guy who, until 2 weeks ago, had been sitting in his bedroom and had never left his room and had been framed for a crime and couldn't stop it, suddenly had the mental wherewithal to take over an entire high port. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. So he really pushed for that and wanted to steal all the planet's income, or a certain percentage of the planet's income. There was a drunken fight. Bill fell over, got hit 3 times in the forehead. Kel flew the G carrier back, pissed, and he flies better when he's drunk. We learned that the vault on the
We all do,
Just like in real life.
We learned that the vault on the Martin II is locked using an unbreakable mathematical code derived from stellar positions and jump data. Raytar said he wasn't interested in the treasure ship and he wanted to get a position with the APA. The plan was to recon, but he didn't want to spend years trying to work his way up. He wanted to be appointed it now.
He wanted to be appointed chief.
Instant gratification.
In 2
Chief
weeks' time, he
executive.
wanted to be chief exec of the entire High Port.
The plan, there was a bit of a chat on how to approach the next bit of the heist. The plan was to recon the treasure ship from a distance, Bill, get close up, Kel and Zim, and then maybe also go bar hopping and carousing, Dax, to scope out the rest of the crew. And that was episode 6. Any questions?
No, this is all crystal clear in my mind. Mike.
No,
Yeah.
I would. The one
It's
question I
a
had
good
was
recap.
one of the rumours was that the rescue flotilla for the treasure ship arrives in 8 weeks.
Yep.
But
That's right.
time has
Something
passed
almost,
since then. So how long have we? We know how long we've
long have you got now?
Yeah, because
have a
we
look.
spent quite a bit of time doing.
Because that was
bits
before
did.
we had malaria, space malaria.
And then I spent
Recon.
I spent like a week finding the crew, and then you guys went on the ship a few times, like more than once.
So we spent a good month. Yeah, minimum. At
Yeah,
least for a week.
I think so.
Well, I don't know what the schedule is because it might have been 8 weeks from.
Yeah.
Funny idea,
Well,
it could have
from
been 6
crash
weeks.
landing, you know, I remember we were getting pretty tight on time, which is why we kept yelling at Ratar for fucking around. At his
Okay,
race
so you've got about 6 weeks and 5 days
Right.
All right.
left.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll come back.
That's if the rumour's correct. Like, we're giving ourselves no margin for error with those dates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and believing the data is, like you said, accurate.
We don't know for sure, it's just a rumour. Episode 7, Ratar gets sassy. There was
Yeah, he tried to shoot the guy in the leg.
There was a discussion of how to steal the Martin II and or the Vault. We heard about how the kimono Gazelle, that it packs a heavy punch, and it's probably best not to get boarded or to get shot at by it because it probably blow you out of the sky. Even though the Harrier is a military weapon, the military ship is a lot bigger.
It's a big escort ship.
Yeah. We heard about how Jedico, General Development Corporation, takes a big cut out of the juicy profits of Port Victoria, and we reprised ECAF's 2 goals. We heard there's some discussion of ideas about how to drive trade away from Port Victoria down to Amalgo, spreading ideas about rumours to pirates, which were pretty good, and then some less good ones. Let's just take over the port, despite having no skills or contacts or
Like you
abilities
do.
in that
I'm
area.
so looking
Yeah.
forward to playing a proper campaign.
Let's just go over and take over a city, despite not knowing anyone or being good at anything. Ratar shaved his head. We heard about that. Dax was ill from the Mirage liqueur. Then the stress levels were rising among the crew because he hadn't had a lot of downtime. Zim had a bit of a sub-system routine problem with Lydia, who asked him to kind of touch that button a bit harder.
that was uncomfortable.
Yeah, Ratar and Silic, there was a bit of a fracas between them, with Ratar saying, "Go fuck yourself," after Silic said that he's a bit of a waste of time, he hasn't done anything yet, which was me playing Silic.
and we all agreed
I
that.
wouldn't cross Silic. He's on a knife edge, that lad.
Yeah.
The
He's
other
on
thing
a
is,
knife
I can't
edge.
see that ending well for Ratar.
No.
Yeah.
Something like that to Silic, to be honest.
I remember Andy looking at us like, back Ratar up, and we're like, we've known Silic way longer than you do.
No,
He's got
yeah.
a point.
Yeah, we like Silic.
Yeah, he saved our life in a freaking wingsuit. What have you done?
So Dax broke up a fight between Jory Ip and Kirsch. Jory Ip had been called the last member of a no good vermin species, and Kirsch had been called a gin-sodden booze hound.
Which was
So they've been they've been fighting, and Dax broke that fight up. We heard about the MAGA movement, Make RNSA Great Again, and this thing that said Gerhai lives. You don't know who Gerhai or what Gerhai is, but there was a picture of a kind of character there.
He lives though.
It does live. There's a possibility of the Aslan crew member, and then there was a rival of the Arshad. Now, I thought this was really cool because the Arshad. There's the kimono. There's the Arshad. Right, and I think Mickey will like this because it's very prompt. The Arshad was a second picket ship. Oh, okay. Should close the door. Oh, sorry, I've been told I'm shouting. It's because I'm so excited.
Hello.
The Arshad is a second picket ship, a Gazelle Close Escort, captained by Captain Lieutenant Kappa Kaparshin. if you remember him. Kappa Kaparshin was one of the heroes of Hilfa.
Yeah.
He was one of the heroes of Hilfa who fought a desperate battle in a Rorke's Drift-style attack from Alien, the Neadic species, which was several years ago. And for his role in that battle, he was been promoted as captain of one of these kind of ships.
Oh man, what a one-shot that was back in the day.
As played by Mickey about 4 years ago. And that was always the idea. Some long throats running here, chaps.
It was
Who
nice.
was that? Sorry, was it someone I played? A character?
Yeah, you played him.
You remember we did that one shot? It started off with you and Dan, and I joined you for the final episode, and we were doing like a Rorke's Drift style fight against these alien invaders.
I remember my like telling me about it. It's really
like
good.
Zulu style in this wasteland on a random planet.
Yeah.
You guys have so much better memories than me. I can't remember anything.
Only when it comes to roleplay.
Only when it comes to roleplay, yeah.
I've got like an eidetic roleplay memory, nothing else.
What's the Arshad doing now? Did it just come in?
It's taken up a parallel position with its sister ship, the Kimono.
So it's also an escort ship for the Imperial treasure ship.
Yes.
But luckily, Mickey plays Kappa Kaparshin, so he can get the
So he
Arshad
can-
to take out the other one.
That's so lucky. And then also at the same time, we had another ship. Where could it be? The Kimono. We had another ship called the. We've got it here. Let's have a look. Just give me a second. Ships. Yes, I forgot to add this one into your journal, but here it is.
Oh yes!
This is the Sincerity.
This is
that one.
This is the one that makes me nervous, guys.
Yes.
That one.
Yeah, captained by Captain Lieutenant Harold Nash. Women love him, men want to be him.
Where?
Some men do.
Yeah. He was the guy you encountered when you stole
the Goddess Astoria.
The Goddess Astoria.
This is why this one makes me nervous, because they want us and nobody else.
And they've seen you. They have seen you.
Yeah.
And while you were on the...
Do they know your faces?
They've seen your faces.
And do they know that you're pirates?
No,
or do
they thought we were the crew of the Goddess Astoria at the time.
Yeah, which disappeared soon
technically
after.
we were.
Well,
although
that's
we weren't
true.
employed.
Yeah, we were the crew. We only because Billum melted the face off one of the nobles and we imprisoned the original.
By accident.
It wasn't deliberate. That is true,
Yeah.
Billum.
I
It
love
was
it.
an accident. It was meant to be a sort of warning shot that went a bit awry.
Just a terrible warning shot.
Billum's first ever kill happened to be with a gloop gun gone wrong and melted a noble lady's face.
Fish sticks.
So this was the missing the Goddess Astoria,
I love that
beloved
shit.
nobles. So Frank, you've got that hidden, stashed somewhere.
We need to give that to Oleb.
We give that to Oleb with the corpse popsicles and say we found it in the Ogma warship and take the Ogma warship as proof. Because we knackered it, didn't we?
What?
Yes.
I think we give him the Goddess Astoria. We had this discussion sort of in the episode
All right,
2
okay.
when Kel joined us. Well, but you guys weren't there for that, and we were kind of holding it on. Dax's opinion is the Goddess Astoria is so hot, it's going to be almost impossible for us to like sell it, move it on, do anything with it other than hide it.
Yeah.
If we give it to Oleb, it's a really nice gift to show that we are genuinely fulfilling our promise. But also, Oleb is a man who can rebrand that,
Refit
rebadge
it,
put
rebrand it.
put a new transponder on it, whatever. He will see the value in it. I don't think we ask him. We don't ask him for any money or anything. We just go.
No.
Here's part of our tribute.
It's a pot sweetener, isn't it?
It takes us out of the heat because we're not connected to it anymore, and it fulfills some of our bargain with Oleb.
But he'll figure out that we'll have the. Because he'll want to know then what happens to the passengers.
Yeah,
he'll put two and two together. Won't he?
I know Oleb. I don't think he'd care that.
No. Also, if he wants to know, I'm happy to be honest with him because they're not dead. They're just frozen.
Yeah. They're just.
We didn't know what to do with them. He can make the
Got in the fridge.
Does anyone else that last picture you showed of the other captain, with the black pointy dagger shit? So he knows about the Goddess Astoria being linked to these three chumps. But does anyone else? Is that the only sort of connection?
The Baron of Necrino has posted a reward for the safe return of his son, his party, and their ship, the Goddess Astoria.
Okay.
So it's not all over the news, but it is.
It's just the bounty hunter population might know about it. It might be one of the things they're looking at.
If you were looking for that.
But what I'm saying is, does anyone else know that these three faces are connected to that ship, or is it only?
Not that we know of.
It's not all over the news.
Fine. Okay.
But if you're looking for it, you might find it.
The Baron of Necrino is not even the scariest Baron that's after Dax, so he's not that bothered.
It's just another Baron.
I've got several Barons after me, and I'm much more scared by Succumbit.
Technically, I think someone would have to dig around to be suspicious.
Yeah.
Because we were only physically ID'd.
Well, because I was scanned that time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just double checking where.
Well, it's useful for us because it was about 4 years ago. So
there'll be some pictures of your faces, but nothing more. So this Sincerity had slowly moved over the starport, scanning the ships, and Zim had used the Harrier's electronic countermeasures suite to fabricate some electronic data to confuse the Sincerity's sensors, making it think that the Harrier is something else. And
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, we'll come to the. You did a great explanation of it, actually. Yeah. You said you basically took bits of data from neighbouring ships and made a composite new ship and fabricated the identity. It was very.
That sounds like Zim.
Yeah, it sounded totally plausible. Sincerity headed off. Meanwhile, the Arshad joined the Kimono. There was a further discussion on how to get onto the treasure ship. Zim and Kel decided to forge some documents claiming to be an Imperial inspection team for the Cordan cluster.
Kel nailed his role playing that.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't quite.
We just walked in, didn't we, Zim?
Yeah.
The two of you were just amazing. I know it's a future episode.
Is our square.
You're a brilliant team. We had a barbecue with Belle and Tyler.
We saw Belle and Tyler again, which I was so pleased about.
You saw Belle and Tyler. Wanderer. Yes, our old couple, who are.
They were the ones we met after Kalkai Salute, weren't they?
Yes. Let's just go to. I feel like I want to just kind of show those.
I think we met them around about the same time as Bill bought his glue gun.
Where would they be?
They are in the Arunasir NPCs tab.
Was this when you were doing your bar hop?
No. So they were in one of the neighbouring docking bays to us.
Okay, yeah.
And we just happened to come across them.
You've done these up as well, Mike, haven't you?
That's.
I think so.
That's a couple of years old.
Yeah, I think that's it's either their originals or their original glam ups.
Right.
Yeah, that's a couple of years old. But you basically had a barbecue with those, and this guy called Aporo Rassi. He's a spaceship parts dealer.
That's right.
And you had it outside the ship with their nice little picket fence and fake grass over the barbecue, and had some beers and a bit of some burgers and stuff. You guys were a bit hungover from the night with Ekaf, so that was all very welcome. Mm-hmm. They also said Rossi remembered meeting a funny-looking guy called Radar. He was buying some surfboards, so he remembered Radar, and basically Belle and Tyler said, watch out if you're in the Exi system.
Yes. Because
a few ships, there's a bit of a small pirate fleet belonging to the pirate lord Hroal, Hroal, Iron Tooth, had been seen, including an Aslan warship.
I think we could bring them on with Ekaf's help. We might be able to bring them on side, because if they're pirates, they're more likely to be Ihatai than they are clan. Is that right, Mike?
Pirate lord of Teve.
Oh God, yes. Of course, it's Iron Tooth, the pirate lord of Teve.
Yeah, Iron Tooth is one of the pirate lords of Teve.
Of course, he is.
You also heard him.
No, you've not met him.
No, we knew.
Oh, I'm getting mixed up with Goldtooth.
Yeah, we met Darakin, and we didn't meet Darakin either.
No, you have met Darakin. You met him in the Rose Garden. You met him in the garden because he's the one who wanted Ferric Redthane. I know it's all complicated.
Ferric, the greatest NPC who ever lived in any of our games ever.
I love Ferric.
I want him on my crew still.
You heard how the Marine Sergeant Hart is a cyborg. Marine Sergeant of the Martin II is a cyborg.
And you also... Billum confirmed that, didn't he, with a bit of...
Billum confirmed that. And you also got the crew manifest. And Rossi said, you know, I wanted to get an idea of how much of a margin I could charge on my spare parts. They need spare parts, I need spare parts. So he's a bit of a kind of, wise guy. We also met Kiagi Munma, who was the hospitality manager in his hot, sweaty office. And Raytar said he wanted absolute financial power of the high port, and then saw his arse a little bit when I said, can't have that. We heard about how Jedico runs brokerage and the port trade, and Jedico controls everything. But the APA runs the day-to-day high port costs, Port Victoria. And the offices of Jedico were on the 74th floor with multiple layers of security. And Raytor said, fuck off them, don't waste my time. Dax and Bill were called in, and Raytar felt like he'd been promised a high-ranking financial position and got a bit annoyed when I said you can't have that. And he tried to shoot Kiagi in the leg, but he hit the chair instead. Dax was quite happy with that. And Billum was like, to be fair, you can't just go in and take over this corporation.
At gunpoint.
I think he was expecting me and Bill to step in and be like, yeah, we'll rough you up. We were like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah. You discussed the potential for a heist on the Jedico offices on Port Victoria. So there was that potential, but that'd be another kind of thing. Bill reconned the Martin II, which was covered in cranes and scaffolding and workers. There were with 2 armed Marines. There was a sign saying contractors without a security pass may be shot. There was a cracked landing pad where the ship had come down pretty quickly. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the Martin II. There it is.
Oh,
big yellow bugger.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, fat.
Big boy.
About as mobile and manoeuvrable as a brick.
I can't wait to steal it, grab the vault, and then ditch all of it apart from the contents.
So many things could go wrong.
Oh, look at this amazing... Oh, the fantastic viewing port at the front of it, though. What a great view that bridge would have. Is that the bridge?
I think the bridge is on top, actually. I think that's more like
I like the big fat feet on it, the little shoes it's got.
Yeah. Oh,
cute. In the same way that Queen Bee is cute. There was loads of work going on in the hull, and Bill scoped it and reckoned it had 6 beam lasers, a big cargo hold, probably not very fast, and it does include at least 1 or possibly 2 small shuttle ships called a launch. Zim dressed in a civil servant suit, and Kel wore his purple and gold suit. And they flashed your ID, and Kel claimed to be Galen Barrick,
The Imperial Adjutant for Aranasir, it says here on my notes.
Yeah, for the Cordon Cluster at Aranasir.
And they were like, what's that? Showed my fake ID.
I think so.
We just sort of walk in, sort of barreled their way, didn't we? So we're here to investigate how the repairs are going.
Yeah, you met this tactical officer Grimsbold, and she was quite hard to read with a bit of a blank expression.
This is Grimsbold?
Close book, yeah. And she said the repairs were proceeding and waiting for this repair ship. Zim's alias was Ms. Tackhood, which was Zim Ducat backwards.
That's right.
And Ms. Tackhood. And he was aide to the Viscount and in the Imperial Economic Starboard Auditor's Office regarding the treasure ship's power usage excesses and how the repair costs were running high and don't meet the legislation.
We overwhelmed them with admin.
You two were brutal. It was such a good session.
You had some fake floor plans showing energy fluctuations and credits rolling up the screen. You went into the lower cargo deck, which smelled of oil and burnt wiring and flickering lights.
Did have one of the rumours we had was that we had a flight deck planned, didn't we?
Yeah. We got that from Ekaft.
So we kind of knew what we were looking for if it had been undamaged.
Yep.
But then we went in, had a sort of nosy around and we saw what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had a little bit of a nosy into the lower cargo deck. There were these gantry, a couple of big cargo bot kind of robots, and there was a lift to the upper cargo deck. Lots of containers, maybe about 200 tons worth of containers, half of which was stamped with the Imperial Sunburst, and half with the seal of the Tobian Cargo Guild. And there was a question, you asking, has anyone of the crew recently joined the ship? And there was no one who'd recently joined.
Was there any? You have to remind me, because we asked lots of questions. Some were kind of, I don't know what we asked really. Was there like a Were we trying to sow seeds of the doubt amongst like the officers, saying, "Oh, we don't trust you," or "You shouldn't trust the captain. You should tell us what's really going on." Trying to pin the blame on some, because we thought there might have been a sabotage. We were trying to get somebody to turn and tell us what they knew to protect themselves. Is that the kind of thing we were doing?
You sort of said to the XO, Prianimenev, you said either the engineers were incompetent, which meant there was a problem with training, so that goes to the top, or maybe the captain has been lax. And she said, captain is a total professional. And you said, well, in that case, the engineer's been incompetent and it's obviously your fault. She wasn't too impressed with that.
That is the kind of thing we would say. Yeah.
But we know the engineers; they're good people.
That was the thing, wasn't it? Did we try and... Because we noticed a few of the engineers had died, right?
So some were killed in the blast. We found some of that out when I did my recon, but I don't know what the timescale was in terms of whether you went in first or whether I did my recon first.
Yeah. You knew they were struggling for crew. So mechanics and engineers. The ship's doctor had been killed, along with a marine. And there may be an opportunity to join the crew. You heard how the vault was secure and that basically Grimsbold's eyes glazed when Zim spoke.
Good. That was the effect.
Then we, here is the, where would that be? Would it be here? Martin the Second. Would it be under Martin Second NPCs? Here we go. Here's a crew roster. Quite a few people killed.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people dead.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only like half a dozen Marines sort of left. Did they have any other security sort of from the local populace? Or was it just those 6 guys on rotation?
Just those guys.
But they're all a lot of them are cybered up to the tits.
They're cybered up and they've got good gear, but there's only half a dozen. And there's only like 2 or 3 of them working at one time.
Just
thrown out there.
Yeah.
And did we ask if it was possible would we be able to fly the ship if there was no... if all the NPCs died, could Sim and Dax and Willem and I fly the ship?
Yes.
Or is that...
Nope. You could fly that ship.
All right.
Yeah.
But very slowly and into the waiting arms of the escort ship.
Yeah, I mean, it's not rapid and there's now 2 escort ships, but we'll be fine.
And a small flotilla behind.
Yep. So then you heard about how the Martin II is recruiting mechanics, deckhands and engineers. And there was another statement, we don't yet have a plan. There was a list of the Port Victoria directorates for Ratar, because he was still want to go and do what I want to do. And a reminder that Jedico is a little bit like the East India Corporation, and you've worked for them.
Yeah.
The Baron of Necrino has posted a reward for the safe return of his son and their party and ship, who disappeared without trace in the Exi system. Remember, Royal Irontooth's ships had recently been seen in that system as well.
Yeah.
We had a poster of Have You Seen These Men? And Ratar's new look, head shaved, following his existential crisis. And then Ratar decided to split the party and headed off onto his own goals with his quest to divert finances away from the Port Victoria.
Let's be honest, Ratar decided to fuck off. Was he ever really part of the party?
He liked to do his own thing. Ratar...
He was an indie.
He was.
Yeah. Ratar elected to take Lewis Howe's job, making an enemy of him at the same time.
Yes.
Clumsy. So that he could take control of the APA finances and cause trouble at the port, disrupt the economy.
The old Dennis Nedley fella.
Yeah, he said he wants to take high risks. There was a long discussion on the ship. There was a long discussion on the ship, shares, how those cruise ships will be shared out, and all the ship kitty.
He wanted to screw over all the NPCs.
Yeah.
As if they didn't earn an equal share because we happened to. We didn't stand for that shit.
Yeah. And so Raytar got this job, administrative job, despite having admin skill 0. A bit out of his depth, but he did have a bit of a decent skill in business and finance, so I kind of let him kind of use that. It gave him a salary of about 10 grand a month and was long inductions for several days. We met the Catering Workers Union rep, Everelda Fisher, a Germanic-looking buxom lady.
Punishment.
Yeah,
she was amazing.
Who Dax invented, and she called her members out on strike because they were looking for an 11% pay rise. I think one of the things as well that I really liked.
No crust without filling.
Was NPCs was the list of people that Raytar pissed off.
It was long and extensive.
Yeah. So there was her, Everelda Fisher.
Yeah.
Raytar's actions led to real hardship amongst the junior members, and several people were injured in a riot. She had good reason to dislike Raytar. This has not happened yet, by the way, but it's just kind of metagaming a little bit. We met Governor Jores. He threatened Raytar with sack because of his incompetence in handling the finances. He dislikes Raytar.
And you don't want to piss off Chelstats.
Was Raytar being incompetent through design?
Yes.
Or through incompetence? Was he trying to siphon funds and
he was trying to siphon funds?
He was trying to cause trouble, right?
Yeah, he was trying
to not let it be known it was him.
Yeah.
No,
he was so bad.
He didn't try to cover his tracks. He just did it.
He just did it.
Yeah, without. Yeah, this is the guy whose job he took, Lewis Howe, because Raytar has got no electronics or hacking skills, so he couldn't really disguise his tracks if he wanted to. And Raytar took his job. He has good reason to dislike Raytar. So Raytar made about 3 or 4 enemies very early on, and then was quite surprised when one of them started to decide they were going to dig into who he was, alerted the police, and he was swiftly arrested. This has all not yet happened, but will happen.
Yeah, it will happen as time goes on.
Yeah.
This is all part of Raytar's cunning plan to get himself incarcerated. As a team member, he becomes the fall guy for all the crimes we are about to commit.
I do think there is a degree to which Raytar expects a rescue. I'd love
Zim's
to
plan
ask the crew.
is if we incriminate him long enough and heavy enough, he'll get put on the worst imperial prison planet there is, which will be so inescapable that we'll find a way to eventually release him.
We're not going back for him.
We can go back for his corpse.
Is there a concern? I know it hasn't happened in game yet, but would there be a concern that Raytar could reveal the location of Dark Knight Base or anything else?
You know what?
Maybe if we killed him.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that because I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah,
they might just say, well, we don't care, we've got him, we're going to arrest him. But he might try and strike a deal, say, I know all this other stuff.
He could try and strike a deal, couldn't he?
I hadn't thought about this either, and he's completely spineless. We need to get someone sent to that prison planet to murder Raytar.
Brilliant.
Volunteer.
I hadn't thought of that.
Volunteer, I'll do it.
Brilliant.
I like Aaron Sear's Deadliest Rivers. I'll go down to a swamp planet.
I had not thought of that, so thank you very much, Kel.
You're right.
Right, okay, so we were going to leave Raytar to rot. Now Raytar must die.
Now Raytar must die. Meanwhile, Dax and Kel went to find out where the Martin II crew go drinking and how strict the engineering recruitment is.
But I didn't know that Kel was there.
Actually, that bit has happened because this is running parallel, so that bit has happened. That bit is happening, although he's actually not got his feet right under the table yet. He wasn't there very long. It didn't go well.
Yeah.
Kel had this meeting with a tactical officer, Werner Grimsbold, and if we just kind of share her, Martin II, here she is. She is the tactical officer. She seems cool and efficient, doesn't smile very often. You know she hails from the Spinwood Marches, so not uber far away. Said he was looking to speak to someone higher up. He suspected internal sabotage. Meanwhile,
so is I meeting her under my disguise as the Imperial Adjutant?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Meanwhile, Dax and the Monk and Stella go into town for some carousing. Monk and Stella were sent to get jobs as mechanics on the Martin II, which they succeeded, and we saw the Star Town was a riot of colour, hot and sticky and sweaty, with a bit of a mixture of Drunaxian style, Aslan style, and ramshackle, kind of tangled shantytown kind of stuff. A bit of a kind of ornate and tatty kind of
Go on, say it.
close together, yeah.
Say it.
What?
Vibrant and diverse. Say it.
Say my name.
No.
Thank you.
We saw an Aslan patrol vehicle.
Oh, we
the bad,
did.
The bad motherfucker.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And Dax was feeling crap, and we found some scruffy lodgings at Hotel Zaffy's.
Yeah, with
Now-
no windows or anything.
Yeah, I've got her actually. I've got Mrs. Zaffy. Here we go, Madam Zaffy's hotel. Here she is. This is Madam Zaffy, owner of a small, scruffy hotel in Port Amalgo. The crew were drinking in Mackie's.
Yeah,
so
we were.
Yeah, we met Mackie himself at Mackie's bar, and then we met some rednecks, and we also met Patrick O'Leary and Felix Polo. So we started to meet some of the crew. So there is Patrick O'Leary, and this is all these NPCs you've met so far are in Aranasea, Martin II NPCs. These are the crew you've met.
Yeah.
So you met Patrick O'Leary, you met Felix Polo, who is the new mechanic.
And Patrick was the one that Raytar had already met aboard the Hyde Port.
Yeah. Actually, Dax had met him as well.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you'd both met him, and he was a bit of a drinker and a bit of a gambler and a bit of a loser. You met him with his mate, Frankie Illin.
Oh, of course. Was he the guy who was handing out the spliffs?
He was the guy who was handing out the spliffs. He was a bit of a stoner. You also saw Nigant Khan Tik Tik.
Oh, the poor guy who suffered racial abuse.
He got racially abused. He's like a big kind of grasshopper. They actually come from the same planet that Dr. Zim is from.
All right, okay.
Yeah, they come from Regina. Spins Marches. No, cute Regina. We met Julian Hall, who was like got his banjo and was basically practicing some kind of working class space bollocks.
Was he the one that was in a relationship with one of the engineers that got killed, and he was all miserable?
No, this is who was in the relationship with one of the engineers who was killed.
Oh, that's right.
She looks sad, Rob.
Well, I hadn't seen her yet.
Yeah. Now, she seems to spend much of her time looking forlorn and staring wistfully into the distance.
Wistfully out the window.
Yeah. Now, you've heard that she was having a love affair with the mechanic, David Felmar, who was killed in the explosion. And apparently, Felmar. He was a pretty shoddy worker who was notoriously unlucky and should never have been working on a jump drive. He's useless. Now, she revealed, this is in your library, Dave, this is in the Aranasea Martin II NPCs, she revealed that Felmar kept talking about a new beginning for both of them, and they would soon be rich and free.
Of course.
But he didn't say anything about the plan, and he'd also spent quite a lot of time with launch pilot Henshaw. Was it Henshaw? Can't remember.
And the suspicion was that maybe he had something to do, or he and Henshaw had something to do with the tight beam transmission, and that there was a bit of a setup going on board.
Now, you've seen Henshaw, or Kel has, because she came in, but you've not really spoke to her. You met Felix Polo, who was a bit superstitious and said that the stars, the flickering light from the stars, is actually the souls of the dead.
And we all got high, and we were all like, yeah, man, it totally is.
Yeah. Frankie
Didn't wasn't present for any of this, was he?
No, you weren't there for that, yeah.
Right.
You smoked some doobies, drank some beers, Julian was singing some Blue Collar Space bollocks, and you heard about the explosion was in the jump drive, and it's not easy to get the parts. So they're all waiting on this repair ship. They're doing the repairs they can, but they're waiting on this Imperial repair ship, which arrives.
So we think the ship
weeks.
can't jump at the moment. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. But actually, the crew were quite enjoying it on Aaron's Say because it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And who would not rather be sat under the stars drinking beer in a cool bar rather than working?
If you're not an engineer or a marine, you're not doing much, right? You're just sort of
not doing much,
waiting for them to fix things. So it's
Dax asked how did an explosion occur on the jump drive, and that basically the answer was that Felmar was a fucking prick, and he was killed, and he had a thing going on with Jody Tallis. He was a waste of time, he was sloppy, and he shouldn't have been working on the jump drive anyway. But we've lost a lot of good people. Now, Nagant Khan Tik was tripped up by the rednecks, who later
No, I disconnected.
Hollow show that had been released years ago. You're back?
I'm back, and I'm famous, man.
Yeah, recognise you and Billum for being on this TV show, Hollow show, where called Spinwood Camera, which was the one with the machine in the basement, and it was all kind of set up.
Yeah, where we were on the reality show without knowing.
Reality TV show, yeah. And Kel was basically there for the whole time in disguise. You didn't even know. Right, we are nearly there. This is the last bit.
We missed the point where they tripped the guy up and we battered the shit out of a billion rednecks. That was... And I loved the end of that episode where, as we moved out, I was like, yeah, they offended an alien, they were racist, we gave them what was coming to them, and we all march home. And then Kel's like, right, and I see all of this. And I was like, well, no, you're not there. And you're like, yes, Kel, you see all of this. And Kel just did this thing where he turned around and he was like, oh, for God's sake, these guys are just useless. They're just starting fights in bars.
They are useless, yeah. Get distracted so easily.
Yeah. He's God knows what Kel thinks of him. Like,
so was I sending you messages, Mike, saying I want to follow in disguise and see what's going on?
So you stuck it. So and Mike was like, oh, there's a guy like in the corner and he's got a hood on, and I was just like, oh yeah, that's like distracting NPC. Forget that. We'll talk to the engineers. And it was you the whole time.
Anyway, meanwhile, Chaim, the monk, and Stella got hired on, and they're going to be doing a bit of spying for a little bit of information. We heard details of the explosion on the ship, that basically, as the ship was about to jump, there's a pipe exploded and vented hydrogen into the engineering bay, along with a load of shrapnel, and that 2 people were killed in the explosion. Felmar, who was working on the jump drive at the time, and the chief engineer, who is called, I think he was called Herb. Yeah, Herb. Chief engineer Herb Echevarria. He was killed in the explosion. He was a good man. Damn good man. Good mechanic. Damn good mechanic. That they were both killed in the explosion. But because the whole engineering bay is now on fire with boiling hydrogen, the automatic safety procedures were initiated. The bay doors opened, vented the atmosphere, and sucked off a load of other people, including a marine, some deckhands, and the doctor who had gone rushing in to help with the wounds. It was all witnessed by launch pilot Henshaw. She was in the launch doing some maintenance, and she saw the whole thing. Last little bit. Hell then met Exo Niminev, and is she there? Not got her in your thing.
It's the last one on the crew roster.
She is there on the crew roster, though. So
in Martin 2 NPCs, she's the last one on my list, number 11.
Yeah, sorry, there she is. Yeah, she's a rising star in the Imperial Navy, won top of her class at Tobiah Naval College and expected to be promoted. She was basically on Hilfer when she was routinely rostered off when these other guys came in and got all the glory, for which she's quite bitter.
Yeah.
She loathes pirates, and she served on the pirate hunter patrol early in her career. There she is. She has fantastic hair, and she is very much the heroine of her own story. She comes
has
swanning
terrible
in.
wind, though, I believe.
She doesn't. Yeah, she does have terrible wind, and none of the crew like her very much.
Because of the wind.
She has a high opinion of herself. Then we saw the upper cargo bay.
Yes, we did.
we saw the upper cargo bay and the vault.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah, we saw the upper cargo bay and the vault with the Imperial seal, and then we went into a conference room where Nibinev said, "You are wasting my time," and Calistinius said, "I think you're wasting your own time."
Doesn't mean anything.
Sounds about right.
Sounds cool.
But he got him though.
He said, "Your Imperial authorities for the Cordan cluster." And investigating, what we've already discussed. Nibinev had been on the Martin II for about 9 or 12 months. Kappa Kapashian is now captain of the Arshad. Nibinev is a bit snooty, and then launch pilot Henshaw, I think I change it every time I write it down, doesn't really matter. She came in with some pastries, and she rolled her eyes, and you quickly established she is not a fan of Nibinev. Kel speculated that either the engineers were incompetent, either due to poor training, or that Captain Torsa is complicit. And she said there's no way either of those can be the case. You established that the vault contains precious cargo and diplomatic papers between the High Rate and the Imperium. You wanted to interview pilot Hanshaw at some point, and you said leave the pastries. And I, as a GM, felt like I was being sweated here. Made me feel quite uncomfortable because I felt like I was being interviewed and I felt pressure.
Yeah, we were like, I had like 20 questions I wanted to get to.
We rolled on the shore leave table, and we established that there was a religious festival that week where the devotees of the Celestial Santeria embarked on a sacred pilgrimage through town on a holy site, and during it became interested in the religion. He had to make a sanity roll to avoid being overtaken by gusto and proceeding and getting involved, which he succeeded, and he was interested, but he didn't get too bound up in it. And meanwhile, Rata, again, we had a long discussion on creating admin errors with financial security to create tensions.
What do you offer when you do that,
Port Victoria. It was about 15 minutes. And that is it. That is the review of the...
Other than after we defeated the Rednecks, and very, very good summary, Mike. That covers it all. But when we defeat the Rednecks, they were all in the back laughing at or looking at some picture.
The Valaniakan.
The Valaniakan, which I have a picture of, and Dax is now vaguely obsessed with finding the weird alien creature that is apparently in the backwoods of Aranasir, because he's already been deep into Aranasir's deadliest rivers and Woman versus Woods, and Dax now wants, as a little side quest, wants to go and find the Valanakian or whatever it is.
It's a grainy Polaroid of a mythological,
slightly Bigfoot style creature, and
Bigfoot.
when we have time, I'm going to go find it.
In a galaxy full of different species, it's not that weird to have a weird fucking monster, is it?
No, but if it's weird enough that rednecks like look at pictures of it in bars and go, "Oh my god," I could be famous for being the man who is like, "Yeah, I shot and killed one."
Okay,
it was just a really hairy woman.
Look, I've made a glove puppet. You know what I mean? One of those.
So that's where we're up to.
Yes.
Right.
So what there's we'll just do a little bit of little mini bit of gamey thing, and then I think we should take a few minutes break.
Yeah.
And then we'll just do this scene, and I think that should wind the session up for tonight.
Lovely.
Okay, so I've got a GM screen. I've handed that to you guys, so you've got all your I WhatsApped it to everyone. I could email it to you. It's got all the modifiers for encounter range, healing, time frames, speed bands, weapon traits, loads of little useful bits and pieces there all in one place. I have to, when I watch the recordings, I realise that sometimes people say something and I don't always remember to follow up what they've suggested. This is a very theoretical ideas planning based heist scenario. Lots of discussions, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. So obviously people come out with ideas and I might not always remember, or I might not always pick them up. So I apologise in advance because I definitely did it several times. What I'd like to do is if I forget to follow up something that you want to know, is just raise your hand so I can see that I've not.
You said you started a GM screen. I don't see it on WhatsApp. Am I being blind?
It's a couple of days ago. It's quite high up on WhatsApp.
I can resend it.
I've downloaded it, but it was a few days ago on WhatsApp.
I figure I'm never going to remember it anyway, so I'm just going to go with I'll roll what you tell me, and I'll be very happy with whatever that is.
I figure that Phil and I will memorise it and then critique Mike for his failures the whole way through.
Zim.
I don't need
a
GM screen.
Of an idea.
Go on.
Right. So, I'm sorry, I'm going to go a bit pin-like with this. But Pin and Zim are the opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Right. We've got a reactor. Right, haven't we? The jump drive.
Yep.
Okay. That's been a bit egg and spoon. Killed a few folk. When a jump drive sort of like misfires, goes a bit bangy, what would happen to the vault? Would it be ejected from the ship if that happened in space?
Part of the ship.
Yeah, it's still
part of the ship.
It's still in there, and it did happen in space. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
so, in that case, when you get something like that happening, you basically, they said they evacuated that whole area, wasn't it? That part of got blown out. I've got a seed of something to do with a bit of psychological warfare to cause a bit of. Because what Zim's thinking about is the paranormal parsec, and there was an episode in there which talks about warp ghosts, and these are the dead that get caught in the blasts when warp engines explode, jump ship engines,
right?
Or fusion. When you have engine misfires, or a ship blows up and it's the engineers that go. Sometimes their psyche gets caught in the.
Polo is a superstitious man, the new chief engineer.
Yeah, we could play on that.
But are the rest of them superstitious? But I like the idea.
Well, you could make them superstitious.
What, like a Scooby-Doo-esque villain style?
Yeah.
We've got the mask now. Radar doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
A couple of 3D polymer latex masks that make us look like former dead crewmen, perhaps a little bit bloodied up, and then we can appear and disappear again and spook people.
Keep the ideas flowing. Right.
So
there's another thing. The Harrier has got a stealth hull.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like a polarized layer that you can flick on or off. Okay, it's not like a conventional, it's not like a Klingon cloak, but there's a few ways you could basically do what a cloak does. So the stealth hull basically makes it impenetrable to sensors, or very, very difficult. So it's on or off. The holographic hull allows the ship to look like another ship of the same size. It's an illusion. It's a holographic. You can make a pattern appear on the ship, so you could put advertising board or whatever. But what you can do is you can make it look like a trader or like a shuttle. It's harder to make it look bigger.
Or a
and the
little
bigger
black ship that came in earlier and dropped off a message.
Yeah, so you can basically use the holographic hull to make it look like a ship. Now, it wouldn't be detected as that ship, but if you combine that with the electronic countermeasures suite, you can confuse the enemy sensors. So you could make your ship look like an asteroid. You could make it look like a cargo ship, a shuttle, a military ship. It could look like anything, but there's obviously going to be roles.
Yeah.
So have a little think about that potential for the future. You've got a transponder, but you can turn it on or off, and you can use your electronic countermeasures to basically kind of give the illusion that it's a fake transponder. Yeah, false ID.
Are there any other mechanical bits, Mike? Because I've got a couple of ideas, and I think when we get into the meat of the ideas, it's going to start flowing. And I'd love to grab another beer, but I don't want to jump ahead.
No, that's it really. Basically, you can modify those little droids so you can cut them open. You could. Are you there, Gaz? Looks like you're frozen there, Gaz.
Oh, he's gone. Oh.
He's gone. you can basically modify these little droids that you got from the base to use lasers, turn their lasers that are shooty lasers into laser cutters.
Yeah.
But that would require some equipment, tools, and if you fuck it up, you might not be able to switch it back.
Yeah.
There's a cost of living.
I'm here.
Good.
Okay, cool. There's a cost of living thingy, which we'll calculate at some point for the time you've been on Aranacea.
God damn it, where's our accountant?
I know. Zim, I want you to make a I'm going to ask you to make a roll, a self-ontology roll.
First roll of the new campaign.
Yeah, I want you to make a self-ontology
roll. 2
roll.
minutes, because I just need to go back into the forge because it just
booted you off.
me out.
Right, well, we can do that later. There's no real rush. Do you want to take a few minutes then?
Just
have a quick
seconds.
break.
A few minutes.
And I'll do it when I come back.
Yeah.
Good.
When we come back, everyone should have these 3 ideas of how to take the treasure ship over.
I have 5.
Okay.
They're all the same plan. I've got one plan. Oh my god. Oh my god. We're back travelling.
I know.
Oh mate. Long overdue.
I know. PCs, right. And okay, items. Go. Right. So, any other business?
Oh, sorry.
I've got some ideas for the whole crew. I think there's some things that we've considered a lot in the last series, between episodes with different people being here and in between Ratar doing Ratar. But I don't think we ever got answers to them, and we need answers to them because fundamentally without those answers we cannot get any further. And I know what those things are, so we will sort that out. I don't think we've got enough information yet, so we need to work out how we get these key bits of information. But other than that, I just want an excuse to talk in Dax's voice and be a knob.
Okay. Well, I'm always happy to let that happen.
See, if you're watching, Andy, This is how you let the GM do what you want to do. Have fun and be good at stuff. We've been so harsh to Andy tonight. But
I did feel for a moment, I was like, I feel a bit sad for trolling him at the beginning. And then I was like, yeah, but it's so much fun.
Also, when you go back through the list of how last season played out, and I have a degree of respect for Andy for playing his character the way he wanted to play his character. He did the same with Petito in Pathfinder. He had a very clear idea. The problem is, it isn't a solo roleplay game. It's a group game, and everyone has to be having fun. And if we're not,
that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's the thing, because like actually part of this is it's not just doing what you want. It's actually doing what you want, but as part of a group and actually working. Sometimes that means that you kind of compromising. It's a
Gotta get on, haven't we? We've all got to get on.
There's a weird willing suspension of disbelief, like with Pathfinder, where your traditional fantasy roleplay trope, where you all get together and you might not all get on, but you're all on the same quest and you all want to achieve it for whatever personal reasons. If that doesn't click, and one of you in the group really doesn't want to do that and wants to do something different, it's so hard as the whole group to play. I know Dan found Pathfinder really hard, but as the GM it's almost impossible, because your job is not just to tell the story and let the players have chaos fun, it's to make sure everybody at the table is enjoying themselves. And if they're not, it's really harsh to then turn to someone and go, well, no, you can't do that, not because of an in-game rule or a rule of physics, but because you're being a dick and nobody's enjoying themselves. But you kind of have to.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard, isn't it?
It's always difficult with an awkward player.
Yeah.
You get them.
Now,
And they don't mean to be.
Right.
It's just that...
Yeah. It's the way it plays.
The analogy I would like to use is it's like playing with Lego. And when someone first gets into Lego, they get the basic box, right? But we're all lads that have had the basic box years ago, and we're on now the Lego stage where we're making like Lego models of The Walking Dead and Star Wars. But other new players are just like still playing with the let's go to laptop.
Working out how the bricks go together. Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
what a great analogy.
Yeah.
I'm just using that in my working life somewhere.
I mean, to be fair, we're making giant Lego cocks. Let's not kid ourselves. But we're doing it with
Or
great
is an
skill and
art and a
expertise.
skill, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Something that is not to be underappreciated.
Are we ready to go on to our first? Is there any questions you want to ask, or do you want to just go straight to our first scene?
I'm more than happy to rock on the scene, my friend.
Okay. So we're going to say it's the next day after the events that we've just discussed.
I have one question. Sorry. When I was doing RPing as the adjutant, was I having my own face, or did I have the face scan?
I don't think you really said, so it'd be easy.
I think you went in your suit with your own face.
I think I probably did, right? Because they didn't know me at all.
No, that's it. Like, neither you nor Zim were known.
Fine. Let's just say it was my own face.
Say it's your own face, yeah. Okay, so this next day, here we are. We're now in a seer. Now you're all on the Harrier, okay? It's a tropical downpour this day. It is absolutely. Dog just got.
There's aliens walking through the ship.
Dog's just bolted out. It's an absolute tropical downpour, right? Everything in the city, everything in the starport is practically closed. Everything in Startown is practically closed. The streets are flooded. No one's going anywhere. There's not really much work going on underway outside the Martin II. It's pretty much kind of shut up. You guys are all in the Harrier. What are you doing? What are you doing this particular day?
If we're all shut down in the rain and we've got a time limit on getting the. I ask one question quickly. What is the status of the Ratar story at this point? Like, has Ratar been arrested? Do we know what was our last contact with him from our character's point of view?
Let's have a look. The date is. Let me just close those down. Journal notes, special calendar. Okay, so Kel has met up with Exoprianimenev. Dax is drinking at Mackey's. It's the next day, so we're on 224. So advance the game. That move forward 1 day, 224.
Yeah, so the radar stuff's still in the future, looking at the simple calendar.
Yeah, I think Ratar is basically up there. He's had his meeting with Kiagi Moonmar. He's doing his orientation. He's getting his feet under the desk. There's nothing major happened so far.
Yeah, so that's fine. That's fine. So he's sort of out of the picture at the moment, doing his thing. We don't know any better. So I think Dax will call, because at this point, Kel and Zim have been into the ship and spoken to the XO and the key players. Billum has been and scoped out the ship from range with his sniper rifle and his scope and seen some of the mercs and got an idea who they are. Dax has been to the bar, spoken to some of the engineers. We've got our engineers hired on crew. So we've all been out doing our own thing. He's going to call everyone back to the sort of command centre of the Coup with the rain pounding down off the windows. Is our docking bay like open to air? Is the rain like hitting the
Can be.
Coup?
The backside of the ship opens up like a big flap on the arse. Yeah. Lifts up so you can.
Like if we're in the command centre, if we're like in the flight deck, is the rain hitting the windows and streaming?
If you're in the bridge, then certainly it could be streaming down the windows. Yeah.
I like the idea. It's like drumming and streaming down the windows, and Dax will sort of call everyone in and just say, time's running low. We've all been busy, boys. We've all been doing our thing. I think it's time we had a little discussion about what we found. Now, Kelly, and Dr. Zim, you two have been on the ship. You've spoken to the crew. Tell us what you found. We don't have to roleplay the whole thing because we sort of know what the things are, but I think we need to come together and we need to discuss the ideas we've got. I've got a couple of things I think are missing in terms of info, but Dax will lead far too much, so somebody else can go.
Yeah, because basically all I've been doing is absorbing the info you've just been saying, or what Mike's just been saying about your little soiree. And there's a couple of things in there I quite like the idea of that we can use as part of a plan, if possible. Because I still don't know whether we're doing the heist in space or we're doing the heist in the starport.
Well,
are we going in to lift the lot, or are we going to go in and get some tasty morsels which we could use?
I think the challenge here, my friends, what we want what's in the vault. The vault is built into the starship. We're not taking the vault out.
There's also 100 tons of cargo in the lower cargo hold.
Yes. But we're not flying the vault out in the Coup and sneaking it away. You know, we talked early doors about taking out the vault and getting ECAF to hide it for a few months, and then we'd go, but we can't do that. So to me, we've got a couple of issues. One is the vault is only supposed to open at the right place in space and time. So we need to. The first thing that we are currently missing is we don't know where that place in space and time is. If we knew that, we could have a look at Kel's plan of fooling the ship into thinking it's at that space and time at a relevant time where we could open the vault and lift the contents or the relevant contents. Or we need to fly probably the big, clumsy, easily trackable, really hard to disguise treasure ship to that point in time, heist the vault in the Coup, and then leave the ship drifting there and hope not to get hit. But until we know what the location and time is that triggers the treasure vault, I don't think we've got much hope of opening it. So everything's moot until we can come up with a plan to find out what those coordinates are.
I think I need to give myself homework. I'm going to need to have a rewatch of one of the Ocean's 11 films.
Well,
and
Zim,
it is Ocean's 11. This.
Yeah.
Zim's the most computer literate, right, of the crew.
Yeah.
Would it be possible, if we did know where the appropriate location in space-time was, is it possible to fool the vault into thinking it's there?
Yeah,
could you hack
the
into
next
the
line I was going to go along.
Could you confuse the transponder or the hyperdrive or equivalent of the ship into thinking it's where it is, so it sends the right information to the vault? Is that a thing that could be done, or is it completely impossible?
What's your electronics computers in?
Lydia's
Mine is 1. My electronics computers.
I thought Zim was like bonkers on all this stuff.
Yeah,
electronics computers is 2, and I've got electronic sensors at 1.
And your intellect and your education are both pretty high.
What you sort of think is, you don't need to make a roll for this, is that it's doable, but that the vault probably is running quite high tech.
Yeah.
And it would be, it would be difficult to do, not impossible, but it'd be very, very difficult to do.
The other thing is, I think we've got the parallel. I think we might be setting ourselves up for a harder mission than we need. There's this parallel story that
you can make a roll as well, Zim, in those computers. Education. Carry on.
Education.
Well, just the other thing is, there's a suspicion that it was sabotage, and they were talking about why was this random guy. Oh, that's a good roll. Well done. Oh, you were using endurance for that as well, Zim.
Was it meant to be?
Yeah, if you used education, that would have been even better.
Well, I don't know. I was doing endurance, but
okay.
Don't re-roll the dice. Just add the bonus.
Don't re-roll it. It's fine. We'll take it. We'll take the first roll.
Okay.
So there's the suspicion that it was sabotage. There was some conversation about whether one of the guys who was killed, the non-chief engineer, should have been in there because he was incompetent, useless. David, Asian girl's love interest. And there was the ship that came in that Billum recognised but doesn't know quite where from, that Kell detected the tight beam transmission from the Martin II to that ship, which suggests that there could be saboteurs on board trying to get information. So Dax thinks there's a couple of things. If we could find out a bit more about what that relationship is, which was one of the reasons that we got our 2 engineers on the crew, we wanted them to do some of that work. The Monk and Stella, we wanted to try and find out if there was a sabotage plot, if we could get in on it. And if that black ship is to do with it, there is the potential to disguise the Coup as that black ship using the cloak and the electronic countermeasures enough to fool them that we could do whatever pickup they had arranged. So I think we've got some missing pieces about...
So, if we want to hijack the sabotage, right? If we want to intercept that, they still got that initial problem. How do they open the vault? We assume that they will either have to open it in situ or move it to the correct place.
Yeah, we're sort of assuming they've solved it because they're on the ship already.
Right? So if they're going to open it in situ, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if they're going to open it in the correct location, we would have to wait until that was either way, you have to wait until they've done it, open the vault, and then intercept what they're doing.
But I think that's why that's the most important thing that we need to find out, because if this guy was saying to his partner, money's coming, like life's going to be grand, everything's great, but he wouldn't tell her what it was, presumably they felt at least that they had this thing sussed. Like if they could sabotage it and get it to crash land, they've either got a plan for getting the vault open in situ or getting it to where it needs to go that presumably takes account of the patrol ships and the escort ships in some way.
Yeah.
Right. So this treasure vault, the ship, right? It's Imperial, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's right? So we've got Kell. Kell's an imp.
Well,
Kell's a Dranaxian.
No, Kell's Dranaxian.
Well,
Dranaxian royalty.
Yeah, that's very different.
But Bill has got naval experience being a scout. Is there any slim chance that Bill might have even heard of protocols when the Empire are transferring large financial amounts across space? Being a scout?
Is probably more likely to know because he was quite high-ranking Imperial Navy, wasn't he?
No, Scratch was Planetary Navy.
Oh, he was Planetary Navy. Okay.
Yeah.
Do they usually, when the treasure ship goes to where it goes, does it just go right and they pass it on to another ship?
Well, we don't know if the treasure ship was on its way to being open, or if I thought it was just going back to a central hub, and then they were going to.
And it was one part of the flotilla.
You've not asked. Yeah, it was part of the flotilla.
And if it was say this,
let me tell you, you would know because they would have discussed it. It was going to the high rate.
Right.
That's where it's headed.
I think if this treasure ship was the treasure ship of the flotilla, if this was the one that was carrying the mother load, they wouldn't have left an escort ship and then another one that turned up later and left the rest of the flotilla to go. I think they would have pretty much paused the whole thing and put it on lockdown. So I'm not sure this is like the motherlode of that whole flotilla, but what's in there for us will potentially be big money. But as Mike said, there's also a lot of ancillary stuff we could steal, not including the vault. Like we could rob some minor stuff that's probably worth quite a bit to us. But if we want the vault, and I do, that's
you could rob minor stuff from anywhere, right? You want to get the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I say absolutely. We could be robbing minor stuff from people in space and furthering the cause of Drinax much more readily than this treasure ship.
Would involving the Hierate or aspects of the Hierate. Yeah.
That was going to be my next question. Well done, Zim.
Nice one,
yeah.
Rob.
I'm on that exact same page.
Yep.
We've got Ekaft, who is a member of the Hierate, who's the Lord of Port
Ekaft is a independent.
Well, he is.
Does have contacts.
He is now, but it was the Aihati that took over Aranasir, wasn't it? It wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't
but
the clans.
It wasn't the clans. They're sort of separate, but they have contacts.
And they
come from the clans.
Yeah. And he wanted us to contact the clans to increase clan presence here. And we decided last season, I remember, that going out to meet the clans and contact them and bring them back was a great idea for the campaign, for the Drinaxian campaign, but was probably not going to happen in enough time to get the treasure ship. That was on us. But if we had Aihati backup inbound to deal with the aftermath, that may not be a terrible idea.
Or causing an engagement that we then do what we're going to do on the treasure ship as a blind, as a cover.
The other challenge is and I'm not suggesting if we were to read the GM's notes, if we knew for a fact that what was in the cargo hold was worth enough money for us to say we'll happily sacrifice 50% of that. Like if we could contact Lord Irontooth's fleet in Exi and say we'll give you half of this shit if you help us heist it.
Yeah.
Plus you I don't know Irontooth, but wouldn't he just take all
goals for it as well?
He could try, but we would make it awkward enough for him. I'm sure they would try.
I thought he had like a fleet of like 9 ships that were all bigger than the Harrier.
Not as good as the Harrier, though. I reckon. And also, if he wanted to do that, that's fine.
One of them's an Aslan warship.
Yeah, well, we'll steal that, and then we'll take out all the others. That'd be amazing. So that's a plan.
What's in terms of jump distances and time? Because we've got like 6-7 weeks, right?
Yeah.
How long would it take for a message to get out to a distant system?
Travels about the speed of ships, doesn't it, Mike?
Travels about the speed of ships. So a week per jump.
Yeah. And the jumps, but the jumps could be any up to a certain
the jump could be, in practice, it'd be a 1 or a 2.
Yeah, unless we've got really good military ships.
Military ships might do 4 or 5.
Okay. So we're talking. Yeah.
We're on our own.
So the way. I don't know if we could incorporate the Scooby-Doo plan into this, but
Scooby-Doo.
We could, because
good description.
Assuming we don't manage to trick the vault, if we want to take the ship, off planet, first of all we'd have to repair the jump drive because otherwise it would just sit in orbit.
Yeah.
And secondly, we've got these 2 orbiting escort vessels, which would easily outmaneuver it. Yeah. And if they thought it was taken over by pirates, they would shoot it down or whatever. So you can either distract them, get them to chase another target that they think is more valuable to give us time to get the treasure ship out of system, or we convince them that the treasure ship is under. Like if we took control of the treasure ship, pretended to be the official crew. Yeah. Either by convincing some of the current crew to turn traitor, or by wearing face masks and just bluffing on killing like the captain and the XO.
Fake noses.
And then we said to the escorts, we need to. We've heard the pirates are coming. Escort us to this safe point, please, quickly. They would then help us escape.
So I think,
and then we could incorporate the Scooby-Doo ghosts.
So I think that
we could ignore the ghosts completely.
Yeah, but ghosts is fun.
We can use that as dressing up.
Well, because Calistinius thinks that he's good at bluffing, and that would be the best thing for him to do. So it's his skill set, right? Is if he pretended to be the captain, wore a mask of one of their faces.
Yeah. Or one of their faces.
Communicated to the escort ships and said, "We're under threat. We've repaired the jump drive. We can even then jump in a different location. Yes, we're definitely going to this system."
Yeah. Got a lot of fine
I'm going to
detail
propose
here.
this.
Before, Zim, when you made your computers roll, and you were like, could the vault be conned? You think it would take an incredibly powerful computer, Lydia is 14, so you would definitely have a fighting chance.
Zim, that's not appropriate if Lydia's 14. You need to stop touching her buttons like that.
There are more powerful computers available in at least 2 star systems that you've been to.
Pretty soon, Ratar is going to take over the Hyport, and they'll have better systems. Right.
Drinax has the Scholar's Tower. And Tech World has
Tech World has everything.
I know what I'd like to do if we had a larger time frame, but it's not going to happen.
Go on.
I'm thinking for the vault, we need to know what the combination is.
This is my point, and I have an idea.
Right.
You saw it's got a keyhole.
Literally.
Okay.
Kel saw it's got a keyhole, but also that it has to be in the right place.
So, this is Dax's idea. As an experienced thief and pirate, if it has to be in the right place at the right time, let's assume for a second it was sabotage. This is making a big leap, but we've heard rumours and there's some suggestions that the certain guy shouldn't have been working on the drive and he was promising money to his partner. So we've got some confidence it may have been sabotage. If it were sabotage, why do it now in this system? Unless this system is the right location and all they're waiting for is the time. So maybe it's already in the right place and the black ship was coming in to find out what's going on because at the right point in time, that's going to unlock, which is presumably going to be quicker than the flotilla arrives.
Go on, Bill.
I've got another thing.
Go on.
Software developer, right? You've got to build a lock that only opens in a certain time and place. However, it's on a fucking spaceship. Spaceships go wrong. There's a percentage chance that spaceships go wrong. There has to be an override that if the spaceship is about to blow up or go into a state which is no longer sustainable for human life, or the structural integrity of the spaceship, that this vault has to have a backup open solution.
So
this is what I was sniffing at with my Scooby-Doo plan, mate.
There has to be like you just wouldn't create a system that
you're going to lose the treasure vault because it's stuck in a ship.
Was it stuck in a ship that's in a terminal situation?
So we've got 2 streams of information here that we don't have enough info on. One is the potential sabotage plot, which we believe came from within, possibly within the engineers.
Yeah. So Henshaw is the person to either interrogate or torture or discuss or bribe.
That's how
Henshaw's our target for that.
That needs to happen. And then there's another strand which is what's in the vault, what's the official protocol?
What's in the vault?
What's in the vault? And I think there's a genuine chance that the validity is actually in Kel's plan of we pretend to be the crew. We do our own heist. We forget the fact there's one going on. I think we find out a bit more about whether or not there is a planned heist.
2 heists.
Where did this ship come from? But
I'll just say the sabotage. The guy who we think sabotaged it killed himself. So it probably wasn't supposed to.
He died in the explosion.
I don't think he meant to do that because everyone said he was shit.
Well, yeah. So the question is, did he mean to sabotage it then, and also accidentally killed himself, or was he planning to sabotage it later and accidentally killed himself? Because that makes a difference into where the ship.
It definitely does. I suspect. Well, yeah, like you say, it could be either. So we still need to find out where's this time space location for the vault unlock. if it's on Arranacia, somewhere near the downport, in 7 days' time, then we've got to work out how we get in, kill some Marines, steal what's in there, fight over it, and hide it with aircraft. If it's 6 jumps away, we've got to contend with the picket ships and all the rest of it, and we also need to contend with either cooperatively or aggressively with a potential third-party black ship that swoops in to steal stuff. Because if there's a ton of loot in there, we could split it 50-50 with them, send 100 million back to Oleb, chuck a load towards the Aslan and destabilise the region, and still make out like bandits. If it's something a bit more specific, we're going to want to take all of it and deal with the fact that there's another plan in progress because we're better than them.
Do you think these black ships, and this isn't without...
One black ship.
Yeah,
one black ship.
Mike,
take your headphones off. I need to discuss this amongst players.
We'll give you a symbol.
Unplugging.
Right.
Oh, right.
Right, okay, we're cooking with gas. Do you think there's a chance that the black ship could be part of the combination for the vault opening and closing, like resetting? If it needs to open, it needs to have that escort ship.
It's not a
proximity.
zero.
We think the escort ship might be not official, like it's part of the sabotage.
And there was
because of the secret beam that got sent to it.
There was a secret tight beam transmission from the Martin II to that ship, and it came in, air braked, and left. It didn't. It didn't linger. I don't think it's related to the escort ships, for example.
Right.
So I think it's something else. And Billum recognised it, but can't remember where from. And
Can we do space hypnotism on Billum to get him to remember?
I think.
I'm not joking.
Well, no,
or give him like some space drugs.
So I'm thinking, right? I'm going back metagaming.
I'm well up for it.
Where have me and Billum?
Are you back, Mike? Are you back?
It's not Mike.
No, he's not yet. He's not yet. We're not giving the symbol. So
you can.
Me and Billum.
Back.
You in?
Okay.
Good. Thank you, mate. So I think.
You bastards.
Where Billum has been, largely Dax has been. We're talking slightly metagamey here. Billum can't remember where he saw the black ship, but Billum recognised the black ship. This is complete this is not Dax, this is me. The one place that I think Billum may have recognised that ship from that none of the rest of us did, because none of us recognised it.
Because he's naval.
Well, no, the black ship isn't necessarily a naval.
He's saying Billum is.
No, Billum's not naval, he's postal. Billum's a postman, he's not. But
scouts are still imperial, aren't they? Still part of the naval service.
I'm naval. I'm naval. I'm just
Billum's naval gazy. I reckon there's a good chance where Billum saw that, and Kel made this point while your headphones were unplugged, Mike. Like, could we genuinely do some space hypnotism on Billum to regress him and try and get him to connect that image?
Or some space drugs to boost his memory.
Could do that.
I think the most likely.
I have got psychology.
You have. I think the most likely place is T.
Yeah. Don't go that far. I've got genetic samples of memory.
Just an opposing dice roll is fine, right? We don't need to.
Yeah. Where do you think he saw it?
I think the most likely place that Billum saw it, given that we've been together the whole time, Dax didn't recognise it at all. I think the most likely place he saw it was possibly Teve. I think it could be a Pirate Lord related vessel, because this is an act of if we believe that black ship is part of a plan from the Martin II to steal stuff, I think it's a Pirate Lord's vessel.
Bill, can you make a intellect roll, please?
Maybe not. I don't remember how.
So if you go into your character sheet...
Say you got a 13.
Yeah. I'd roll it. Yeah. Rolling an internet roll is in itself an intellect check.
That was just a test roll. He's allowed to roll it again.
Okay, no, it's okay. It's okay, because it's an easy roll. Because Dax has just said, did you see that ship on Teve? You did see it on Teve.
It's like, what, if these are pirates, Billy Boy, I didn't see
where
the
you
ship.
saw that ship. You saw it in the cargo bay when you landed. It was fucking there. You remember it now. You saw it at Teve. It was there. It's called the Dancing Spider.
Oh.
Do we know who it is affiliated with, or do we just recognise the ship?
You don't know.
So, We have a ship that we know
Bum, bum, bum.
is related to a pirate lord, or potentially a pirate from Teve, maybe a pirate lord, that's come in, done an air brake, received a trike beam transmission. There is definitely a plot to sabotage and steal from this ship.
Dax.
We need to... Dax has been a pirate his whole life since he was 17. He knows piracy. And he can see a piracy plot, and he's not imagining this. It's here. This is a setup. This is a sabotage.
So, do we want to get in on this?
Yeah.
Do we want to pirate the pirates, or do we want to get in with the pirates? What's our next step?
I think the thing is, to rob an Imperial treasure ship like this, they're going to have to have done a huge amount of groundwork, and we've got 6 weeks. We've got 6 weeks to reinvent that groundwork, or to get in with them and try and ingratiate ourselves and basically work an angle to make their job easier. And because if we duplicate all the effort they've done,
well, or we could wait for them to steal it and then steal it from them the last minute. You know what I mean?
Now that's a good idea.
Because we don't. Yeah, you're right. That they've got this plan. We want to piggyback on that, but you can piggyback on it by joining forces, or piggyback, pretend we're normal members of the crew. Oh, look, we're really powerful. We're going to take it. Thank you very much. Bye.
And they get to orbit. They get to orbit, having stolen what they're going to steal, having done their plan, and they're about to leave before the picket ships, and we are up there cloaked. Kill them, take it, get out. We've done the double. They don't even know who we are. We don't have to steal from the treasure ship. We have to steal from the pirates that we are relatively confident are coming for the treasure ship.
I'm going to have to rewatch this.
Well, the question then is, do we want to interrogate Henshaw, or discuss, or do we want to play it subtle, or do we interrogate her without her knowing who we are? We like in disguise again.
I think we have to get some more information, because at the moment we are making a lot of supposition. And if it doesn't,
we need some meat on the bones.
If we know how it's going down, we can work out how to interrogate.
But if we interrogate her or ask questions in a suspicious way, she might alert. Let's assume that she is part of a pirate undercover operation. She might contact your superiors and say, I'm suspicious something's dodgy, we need to change the plan, or need more support.
I think we can be quite confident the only way they can contact their pirate contacts is if the pirates come in the ship, air brake, and receive a tight beam transmission. It's not like they can just pick up the phone.
And they're alive to do it.
Well, yeah, but it's not like they're just in constant communication.
Could you create a similar tight beam transmission that would look like it was coming from Martin II if that ship were to return?
I could give it a go.
And then could we also block
what technology it was being used by? If you know
when it was sent out, I guess, did we record it? So even though we don't know what it says, we know the kind
of message. There'll be a recording.
We've got a recording of the data spike.
Yeah.
Not what's in it. But
the nature of it. Yeah. And we now have 2 of our crew members on board the Martin II.
It would be a lot easier if you knew who transmitted it.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's a ground job. What we talked about last season, I believe, if I'm not wrong, the monk and Stella are now members of the crew, and Dax has been friendly with the.
You guys could become members.
Well, there's 2.
There was a doctor who died.
Doctor who died, Marine who died.
Yeah.
Deckhands.
So it'd be unlikely that the Marines would take anyone on.
Yeah, but the doctor.
The deckhands.
Launch pilot was died. So if anyone's got any piloting skills,
Dax is an excellent pilot. Given that, given that, I was thinking, mind you, if we're not replacing I was thinking if we're replacing the Marines, Billum is more of a direct replacement for a Marine. But no.
But also, we could forge documents saying, Bill's the best mechanic we've ever seen. He's tip top, and we've got other engineers who might be able to cover for. You know what I mean? We don't have to be a good engineer.
No, that's it. And we've got engineers in. So the way we talked about it last season was that we've got 2 engineers in there, and Dax was going to essentially stay separate from the Coup, live largely in the town in Madam What's-Her-Face's hotel, and he was going to try and socialise with the off-duty crew as often as he could. So catch up with Monk, catch up with Stella, but also get even friendlier with the regular engineers. But the impression I got, given that distraught girlfriend didn't know anything and the others were like, we've no idea why he was on the job, why David was on the job in the first place, the initial impression I got was none of them were in on the gig.
Yeah.
But I also, Stella and the monk are both quite new to our crew, and I'm not that convinced that they are subterfuge experts. So they're good engineers and it's good to have them in there, but I'm not sure how much info they'll get. But Dax was going to live in the town and be the contact with the engineers and just be like, nothing to do with the rest of it. And then you guys could potentially go in as possible launch pilot, doctor.
The thing is, Kel and Zim have both been seen by the crew as as random characters. Again, we could try and put disguises on. But as ourselves, we wouldn't be able to go in.
What we could do is put the engineers that we've got.
Yeah, we've got face masks and
basically got one face disguise.
We could have Billum, we could have Zim with the face disguise, and I think if Kel needs to go in, Kel could go back in as the adjunct because he was very successful, and he could go back in and just sort of coordinate.
If the ship's not taking off, I can just hang around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a difference between being on the ship working and then sort of being in the area just nosing about.
And you would still have, as an adjutant, you'd still have business there, because it's not like you went in, they were like, yeah, here are all the problems, we've fixed them, sorry, mate.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of reasons, but I think we need to query a bit more information, but I think we can be confident there has been some sabotage, there is an alternate plot. Our two routes to treasure,
You guys are good.
We haven't got radar distracting us now. I'm a born pirate, man. We know this shit. To me, the two routes are, in my head when we started tonight, I was excited to be like, I think there's already a plot, and now I'm even more confident. We need to get in on that plot. That's Dax's way, is we make friends with the current pirates, we help them do their thing, we maybe betray them at the end and steal all the glory. But Kel's point's absolutely bang on. If we know that there's another set of pirates and we know what their MO and their plan is, we don't need to worry about any of it until after they've done the hard work for us. At which point, we can swoop in and just take the stuff from them, which doesn't require a scout ship or whatever. And if we got busted, if they stole the stuff, got out, and the two escort ships were coming in, if everything went the worst way it possibly could, we could be like, we heard these guys were pirates and they've stolen something, we've stolen it back, you have it. We're really pleased to help you. We're not choked in the middle as the boys who did the aggro.
We might be able to play the political chessboard on Thief as well. I might need to go back and review the YouTube channel with the Thief episodes.
Well, I don't think we recorded it then.
No, we didn't. But we did. I made sure.
Crispy pancakes.
No, Gaz. I made sure there is an episode, because I've watched about half of last season back in the last week. There is an episode where I made sure with Mike that we got a deadline on when our ban in Teve was up, because it's all Dax once, and it's I think it's about 11 weeks or something.
It is.
It's not. We were banned for a year. We were banished for a year.
It's been 11 months.
That's it. We're close. We're really close to being able to go back to Teve, and we've got some scores to settle with, particularly with Darrakin, I think.
Well, can you imagine if this was his plan?
Well, you know what? That ban from Teve is only in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I knew we were close. I knew it. So,
that 1 year ban.
One big plump turkey with many stones, methinks.
Say, we don't know that. We know it's Teve related, but if it's Teve related, the chance that it's not a pirate lord is pretty slim. If it's related to a pirate lord, I think the worst thing we can do is steal from them what they intended to steal and sell it back to them and earn ourselves a bit of rep. The best thing we can do is be like, your guys were shit and they dropped the ball and they were going to die. We saved this for you. Give us what it's worth or we're going to become our own pirate lords. Because that's Dax's ultimate dream. He wants to be a pirate lord of Teve, but not yet. We've got work to do yet with Drinax.
It could certainly be negotiated on the tree of piracy, couldn't it, though?
Yeah. So we've still got key bits of missing information, and I think what we need to decide as a crew is how we find out what is the current plot, and possibly still, in case that isn't something we can hack into, where was the treasure ship designed to be opened, and a bit more of maybe what's in there. And Mike gave us a bit of information on what we think was in the vault from what Kel and Zim did in previous sessions, but the big things for me are finding out this alternative plot, and we either plug into it and we give them all our assistance as a band of merry, helpful pirates,
or we fuck them over,
or we
steal it for ourselves.
Yeah, well, that's it. Or we don't even tell them who we are and we rob them fucking blind.
So is this short-term plan to try and get more of us on the crew so that we're able to take advantage, not only learn extra information, but then be able to strike when it's relevant?
I think we have to, because at the moment we have no PCs on the crew. We've got two NPCs, and they're engineers.
And then I guess the other short-term question is, do we want to interrogate Henshaw only as potentially other members of crew, as if we got jobs like that, or do we want to confiscate her and
I think one, and then maybe the other.
Kidnap her and torture.
I think if we can get some player characters on the crew and just talk to Henshaw, have a discussion, maybe make it known that, you know, we have a slightly nefarious background, but, you know, whatever it might be. And if Henshaw is uncooperative or unwilling or doesn't spill the beans, then we can just nab Henshaw and put the feet to the coals.
So, just as a reminder, Talis, who is the sad lady, she was engaged to partnered with Felmar, who was the incompetent engineer.
Yeah,
but he was known to be talking to Henshaw quite a lot.
Yeah.
And Henshaw's also the one who brought the pastries, I think.
No, yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
When I was having a meeting with the XO, sort of went, oh god, this
didn't
XO's
like
a
you.
bitch.
Critically didn't like you.
Well, that's
I mean, you are quite unlikable, but
I thought she didn't like the XO.
She didn't like Niminev. She didn't like Niminev.
No, that's right. Sorry, yes, she didn't like Niminev. Yeah,
it's complicated, isn't it? It's tricky. Like, I know the plot, and I have to keep reading it to remember it.
I feel
Rob's frozen. Way back.
I'm not throwing this back out here yet again, but does anyone else feel like we've had a memory block removed since Andy's not here? I feel like we've made progress tonight.
We have made progress. What I want to What I want to do is, I'm basically in a moment. I think we're going to wind the evening up. Okay, we're going to wind the session up. What I want to do is as you're sort of sat here excitedly, maybe sat around a kind of a console, you know, throwing up whiskey. Yeah, because you could be in the Harrier, in the what's it called?
Well, the rain's coming down.
On the bridge.
The rain's coming down. Yeah.
But the Harrier also has a electronic countermeasures kind of suite where you can throw up holographic kind of images and kind of all that kind of stuff, and you can kind of make plans. And what you've noticed as you've been there is that you know, because it's got you guys plus the sort of three engineers, Jory Ipps, you know, Kirsch, Chain, Stella. You suddenly notice that like Silek's not there, but actually he comes in and he's kind of soaking wet, and he's like, and he looks a bit excited, and he's like, oh lads, I'm so sorry I'm late. I know we were supposed to have a meeting, but, and he looks a bit manic and quite excited, and he's got these like big kind of cardboard boxes. He's got this big kind of cardboard boxes, and he kind of puts it down, and he starts kind of like you know, he's looking for a knife, and he's trying to open up the tape and everything.
Silek, what have you bought?
And he looks in, he says like, check this out.
Oh, what's he bought?
He opens up this box,
PGMP.
and it's got a big box, cardboard box. It doesn't look very heavy, and he opens up these other boxes. There's a number of boxes, and he takes out what looks like a cheaply made. It looks like a carbine. It looks like a little carbine, but it looks very, very cheaply made, and it's got like it's really weird because like the magazine is on the top of the rifle rather than underneath. It's kind of like underneath, and he kind of holds it up, and he's like, look what I found. Look what I found.
What is it, Silek?
He shows you these.
It's a paintball gun?
He said, basically, lads, we've done some piracy so far, and it's gone pretty well, but I'm a bit worried about what happens if we get boarded. Are we prepared? I've had an idea. Let's have a game of paintball on the Harrier.
Oh, I'm in, boyo. Let's fucking. Oh, I've gone Welsh. Jesus. It's been too long since we last played.
Because you went to Wales. And next week, lads, we're going to open up the session with a short game of paintball on the Harrier. And we can either play one of the several games. We could play deathmatch, last man standing. We could play team deathmatch, 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
We could play capture the flag.
Yeah.
Or we could play protect the Duke, where one team must protect a designated Duke while the other team attempts to eliminate them. It's just going to be player characters only, so no NPCs. So I'm not going to play. So you can have a little decision. And basically, I've created a deck plan, or I have a deck plan for the Harrier. I've put all the walls on and the doors and everything. And we're going to play.
Oh my god, that's brilliant.
I know. We're going to play a game of paintball on the Harrier. And it's first. I'm going to add the guns to your character sheet before the next session. They have a range of about 30 meters, not massively accurate, but accurate enough.
Okay.
And it'll be one shot and you're out.
Yeah.
I wanted to get a feel for like the layout of the ship, where's defensible, and how to move around it.
No reason, just for fun.
I think it might be useful.
It's good to know. Yeah.
So, Dax's vote. Dax is going to look round. He's going to see Dr. Zim. He's going to see Celestinius, and he's going to look at Bill. We're going to see Scratch. Scratch has been away for a while.
Scratch has gone
Scratch
off.
is back at the boneyard still. He's going to look at the 3 crew members. Billam's a big threat to Dax in a paintball game. The other 2, he's pretty sure. And Dax is not one to stack the odds. Like, he's not going to be like, oh yeah, me and Billam will. He's like, personally, I'd vote team deathmatch. He reckons he's got a 50-50 chance with Bill, and he'll wipe the floor with the others. We're good.
Ducat will actually have no idea what this is. To him, it looks like a firearm. And he's going to be looking at Dax and Bill and Silic like they've gone mad. They're going to shoot each other on deck.
And Dax is clapping Silic on the shoulder. He's like, oh man.
Will the paint damage my clothes? Does it come off easily?
You've got the Sonic Cleaner.
I do, but direct paint can be, even Sonic Cleaner can be a bit.
It's okay. I'm sure it'll be okay. But
it's not. It's like washable. It's not.
The losing team is going to clean the paint.
Like garlic bread.
I think that's only fair, because I'll need the paint cleaning. Oh no,
we should draw lots to see who gets. If we are playing team deathmatch, we should draw lots to see who gets who.
Totally agree. Teams.
And I'm quite lucky. So
paint?
I'm hoping I don't get Zim basically.
Zim can handle it himself. He's got a.
Well, no, but Celestinius doesn't think he can. That's the point.
Yeah.
Zim though can like hack into the various systems. So
that's the thing. Are we able to use the ship systems as advantage, or is it just paintball?
There's no rules. We've got a paintball gun.
No rules.
You can do.
No, you've got to have rules with paintball balls. Like you don't put the paintballs in the freezer overnight.
I see Biker Grove. Got to have.
We've got to make it so that Zim's got a serious advantage, because he's not a shooter, is he? Let's face it. So,
I'm not a shooter.
He's also tactical. There's the whole deck plan of the ship to work with. You know, I'll say this right. Here's a rule: no monoblades.
Don't use Huey, Louie, and Dewey.
No monoblades.
No paint blades.
Yeah, no melee.
Yeah, it's only shooting. This would be great fun.
Yeah. Warm up.
I like the idea of lots, and actually we roll with. Do you want
to draw lots now?
So are we going team deathmatch? Because I like this idea with random
lots. Is it
lots.
team deathmatch? One
I kind of like the idea of doing it on the night.
Yeah, I think on the night would work better.
Yeah, would you want to do like Dax and someone and Bill and someone?
No. Dax is going to sit this out.
Random.
Dax is nominally ship captain, but he's not a paintball team captain.
Okay.
I will play it diplomatic.
How are we going to draw lots then? Would it be like a roll?
Well, it'll just be one person will pick one of the 3 names out of the hat.
I think.
And that's a pair.
Dax is going to look around.
The 2 highest numbers roll, and when we all roll dice, the 2 highest numbers go together and the 2 lowest numbers go together, and we just have to roll. We just have to work it how we.
Okay.
Do you want to roll now, or do you want to roll on the night? On the night?
On the
On the night, so there's no time to think about it. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. It's like literally, and do you know what? If it ends up with Dax and Bill, well, it sounds like that might be positive, but let's face it.
Well, we're going to get Huey, Dewey, and Louie to start. We're going to fix
This is the thing. Like,
I can use it as referees.
Historically, Bill, you and me together is really bad because we're both quite dumb and heroic, and we do stupid stuff.
So I think actually there is no clear kind of obvious combo. It means let's just go with random on the night.
Also, Dax is not a great shooter. He's a melee combatant. He's not really a great shooter. So he's just cocky. He believes he's amazing, but he's not.
And it is only it's painful.
It's only pain.
So,
I can't get hurt. It's his learning. You know what Silic is like, lads? It's just a learning device.
What I also love is the idea that we have got this ancient Sindalian Dranaxian Harrier, and we're just going to fire paintball guns across the interior. Just mess it. Like the pilot's couch is already stinks of cigarettes. He's got like ash burns in it. There's spilt whiskey on it. It's a bit. We love the thing. We're at home in it, but we're subtly disrespectful. Scratch's quarters and his engineer desk are horrific. They're covered in bits of sandwich and stuff. We're just going to mess this thing up even more. Dax almost is more excited by the look on Kel's face when whoever wins, there's paint dripping off the walls of this ancient Dranaxian Harrier than whatever the result is.
Can you imagine?
And there's a bit of Dax that is desperate to see paint burst all over Kel's fancy neon shifting outfits. And
he'll have a special suit for the occasion.
Oh, he will.
Oh, yeah.
I really look forward to
exactly the same
hearing
colour
what
as
it
the
is.
paint. And I'll say, you haven't hit me.
One of those guys. Oh, I hate paintball cheaters. Thing is, he'll cry out because he's a wuss. It'll be fine.
Paintball cheater? How do you become a paintball cheater?
You wear
If your
something the same
paintballs
colour as the
overnight and
paint.
get shot with one, then you'll know.
You wipe it off. You get hit and you just wipe it off and go, no, I wasn't hit. I've been in paintball games where people do that. You get shot and they're just like, oh, no, it just clipped me.
You could inject the paintballs individually with a very strong alkali solution, and then on impact it would have similar sort of like caustic burn properties.
What you're missing out on here, Sim, is a friend of mine and Mickey's.
Or I could inject nanites.
Oh, now we're getting Yeah.
No, this is him just meandering.
There was a friend of mine
He's
in
thinking of
Mickey's who
advantages.
claimed that he used to use cayenne pepper in his paintballs to break and burn the skin of people. The guy was an amazing bullshit merchant.
That Avis Raptor.
Keith
Raptor.
The man who apparently stayed up for 3 weeks once and then fell asleep for 9 days, and then when he got up he pissed for 11 hours without stopping.
I've known a couple of those. Yeah. Mike, you remember Rob the Knob? He was Rob.
Different Rob.
Different Rob. Completely.
Still a knob, but different.
No. Rob the Knob was a knob because he wore a Stetson. That's why he was Rob the Knob.
I need to get a Stetson.
But he did similar things, didn't he, Mike? You know, if you had a replica handgun, he had a real fucking handgun.
Yeah.
And you know, if you had
Keith
if you had a selection of murder tools, he was a murderer.
Keith used to live in Mansfield, and I picked him up once to drive him down to the NEC for Warhammer Fest or whatever it's called now. What used to be like the con that GW did.
Literally.
And it was icy, and it was a bit dicey, and he told me it was fine because his mum was in the territorial army, and when he was 14 she'd got him involved in hot dropping a load of tanks into Finland to break the ice using the cannons on the tanks, so he was familiar with driving on ice. I was like, how does that help me as the driver in a Ford Focus on my way to Birmingham? Shut up, knob.
Are you sure she said hot dropping or slut dropping? I'm not sure.
Well, apparently she snapped a guy's thumbs. There was a guy who looked like Bruce Lee who attacked her in her territorial army training. She broke both his thumbs and flipped him into a river. Keith was amazing.
But he was our nerd.
He sort of was. Like, we all...
He was our nerd.
We found him very difficult to deal with.
A lot of his toys by accident when he put them at the edge of the table, but
yeah,
that's a separate thing.
he spent 3 weeks complaining because we all used to know each other through like an internet forum before there was even WhatsApp, and it was all cool. And he was complaining 1 week that he didn't have a TV and he couldn't watch TV. So we all went to Warhammer World for the weekend. One of our mates, Lee, brought him a flat screen TV and was like, look, he brought it up for him on the train, was like, I've got this spare, you can have this. And Keith just looked him straight in the eye and went, I'm not carrying that home on the bus. And then just left. We're like,
there's not a lot you can say to that.
I mean, he was beyond special.
I've just realised as well, I've got some new artwork for Dax and Zim.
Yes, the Dax artwork.
Yeah.
I'm updating my backdrop for next week.
Right, so there's Zim.
Dude, how cool is that tie?
Yeah, man. Zim's the dude.
And here is Dax.
Oh.
Slightly older, slightly greyer, still the same old knob end.
Oh, that's Dax.
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
Do you know why that's Dax? That is based on his original, not even his modified Season 2
original
art.
image.
That is a mid-journey version of the original Season 1 art from over 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's using that new mid-journey thing, isn't it,
That
Mike?
retexture, yeah.
There were some great pictures you sent me of Billum as well, like the modern version.
You have to choose one. Choose one.
Yeah.
Just choose one. And I can see the one.
There's no possible improvement to Calistinius because he is perfection. But
My background here is the updated version.
I love it. It's really good. But I love that, Mike, because we've been playing this campaign so long. Dax has got older, like significantly older, and that to me really fits his new.
Captures him, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I was thinking, how crazy is it? Like, when you consider our first roleplay games, we were looking at these cartoon characters. They were the sensible thing. Now you go to AR and it's creating real world. Yeah, I noticed at the cinema the other day, like all the new releases of Disney movies, it's the movies that we remember being cartoons when we were kids, but they're now with real people and like real life CGI type overlays where you just can't. And we're definitely at that point, like in literally the last 5 years, we've gone from cartoon characters to.
And it's progressing past the uncanny valley as well. You're not getting that weird disconnect anymore. It's just vaguely seamless, which is.
Let me put the old images on.
Yeah, so the
one.
I mean, the original Dax image, which was I googled
3.
Space Pirate. All I could do was go on DeviantArt and find somebody else's drawing of weird Space Pirate. There wasn't a way for you to generate one.
So it's they're in WhatsApp. Those are the old images.
Oh wow.
And it's like going from a bloody Atari of TV thing to a PlayStation.
Look at the original Dr. Sim. To what he is now.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I mean, Dax just looks like he's genuinely just aged.
Unbelievable. Zim,
the early Zim.
Beautiful, utterly lovely, mate.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, good, isn't it? Happy days. Right, okay.
That was so good, Mike.
Good sesh, bud. Good sesh.
Call it a night.
Thank you for having us. I'm going to cut the recording.
See you Wednesday.
Damn right.
Yep. I'm up for Wednesday.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm doing some training then, but I should be back in plenty of time.
Rob, I need to tell you this for Dax. There's a show running at the moment called